and 10% solidarity for my brothers and sisters that are out there, you know, dealing with unbalanced emotions the best way that they know how. Not blame them for expressing themselves however they see fit. You are not in that situation. You know,
not at all
of these Facebook, you know, these keyboard pundits, you know what I'm saying, all this social commentary about what should be done and what could be done and what needs to be done. Like, that's it. Y'all need to cut that out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, y'all know it's Martin singing
put them in your prayers.
Yeah,
send them some prayers. The power of prayer. Like, get back into it.
Yeah, get on your magic.
Hold those people, hold those people in your consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Like, find a little homie that you see on the TV, lock that vision in your head.
Yeah,
take
lock
it to the heavens. Ask whatever God you pray to, whether your God is in the heavens, whether your God is in your heart, whether your God is corporeal, and you believe that it's only you in this universe, even better. You know, send them protective light, send them guidance. You know, call upon whatever deific force that you know of, whatever angelic force, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you deal with. We're going to talk about that tonight. Whatever you feel is real, family.
Is facts. So summon whatever deity or entity of a war god or justice, retribution, the balance, the scales, the ma'at. If it's ma'at, if it's Mary Magdalene, if it's Lucy, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Do what you do, but bring that power and that energy from within, from the cosmos, and blanket it over our brothers and sisters who are on the front lines at this point in our lives. You know what I mean? It's these dog days in summer where, the temperature has been rising, the pot's been on the stove, you feel what I'm saying? And, shit is popping off. Excuse my French Latin. But it's going down. Football season is about to start, so there's about a week left. You know what I mean? But in that week, I hope that we can accomplish some things. I hope we can make some statements. You feel what I'm saying? Like the brother Blue Pill said, I'm in 100% in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in St. Louis. Burn that motherfucker down.
Push it a little bit. At least say 101. Throw one up on Lucy. All right?
Yeah, I'm 101 standing in solidarity with my brother. I hope they burn some Korean hair beauty salons down. I hope they burn the weave and the wig shop down. I hope they burn the sneaker stores down. I hope they burn the Jewish jewelry stores down. I hope they burn the Arab delis down. I hope they burn everything down. And I hope that shit sparks a fire in some of our creative arsonists that are out here listening to the show. God damn it. Because they've done more in one day than you pacifying Negroes did with your Skittles and your damn hoodie protests over the Trayvon Martin situation. And like I said, this incident that we're seeing, these incidents that we're seeing carried out, but they're being provocateurs, the police departments and whatnot are pushing people into a corner at this point. This was actually, this was a ritual that was actually taking place almost a year ago with the whole Trayvon Martin verdict, which was another ritual that took place in February of 2012 when they murdered him. And there's shows that have been done about it, and we talked about it, and we already prophesized what was going to come down the pipeline and what these Europeans or these devils were doing to our people. You feel what I'm saying? And what the ultimate game plan was. And it's playing out. It's playing out, you know what I'm saying? And, it's a lot of interesting things taking place.
Hold on. Let's do this. Let's get this situated, all right? In these particular day and times, because of the puritanical branding that has been done on the consciousness of our people, it's time to trade in your crown of thorns because, that's victimhood, okay? It's time to trade in your crown of thorns for your crown of horns. Stop giving them the power of the devil, right? Find another moniker that fits your adversarial force, but don't do that one. I want to give a shout-out to my brother Adika Butler wrote an amazing article, and he explained in this article, in the time of the Moors, that's exactly the moniker that they assigned to the Moors, for the light bearers. And that light that they're talking about was your hue, your melanin, okay? Your outward melanin, not your neuromelanin, but who and what you were seen at in terms of a dark hue person, all right? So there's an etymology, there's a history to that particular word, all right? And I know there's a difference between the devil and Lucifer or what have you, but at least get a grasp, firm understanding and acknowledgement of what that difference is before you start throwing titles people away and empowering them. You understand me? But like I said, what you feel is real. All of this is based on belief and perception. This is all dealing with imagination. This is all dealing with faculties of the mind, all right? And what we understand at this particular time is that we're looking at a people who have been mind fucked, all right? And because of that, they cannot figure out or find themselves outside of these situations. We're looking at situations that are coming down from higher principalities, you know. They're actually saying that this officer's name might be Michael White, and he killed Michael Brown. We're dealing with something different here, okay? We're dealing with something different here. It's not as simple as you think. And there's definitely a message being conveyed. I want to give a shout-out to my brother, Minister Jew. You know what I'm saying? Came on Coach Kayer's show the other night, the night of the full moon, and did a demonstration where he made a coherent explanation about what it is that he sees taking place and providing counteractive measures as well, and just asking the family to come outside and commune with this moon. You know, put your intent into that beacon signal, you know what I'm saying, which magnifies your intent and beams it across into different places, and especially dealing with that arc, you know, that they have up in St. Louis, thinking back to Friday's show with Casey the Arc Degree, you know what I'm saying, when we were talking about that arc that's in the brain, the processing of light, talk about how big that moon was and how bright that moon was. But what about that moon? What about these astrological bodies? What about these windows in time? You know what I'm saying? Are they just to be looked at and adored? Or are these particular times, you know, are these times, these signals and these signs to be utilized for you to do what you got to do? So we're going to talk about that tonight. And I'm definitely honored to be able to bring forth one of our masters. You know what I'm saying? A brother that definitely has a finger on the pulse and has a full grasp and understanding about what needs to be done during these times. All right? For victory, not victimhood, but for victory. You know what I'm saying? You would never sent to this planet to not have a way out of a situation such as this. Okay? And just because the fire is underneath your feet and it might be getting a little hot, it doesn't mean that you're burning. Not yet. But if you remain comatose and you remain unresponsive to certain levels of stimuli, then you might burn up. But ultimately, the decision is yours. So we're going to lay some things out tonight, and we'll leave that decision to the people. Because when it all comes down to it, we can only be responsible for ourselves at the end of the day. Okay? We could put others in our prayers. You know what I'm saying? We can hit others to gain. You feel me? You can turn on people's lights or what have you. But this is a soul mission. We can move as a collective, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. So everybody's going to have to carry their weight. Okay?
Right.
And I want to also say this, you know, because we are dealing in a time in which, like I said, there's no separation. Okay? There's no separation, and the great divine speaks through signs continuously. And I made a post yesterday, you know, and it was in the height of the moment, or the heat of the moment, as they say. And I kind of might have said some disparaging things in this particular post. And this post was about the loss of life of Robin Williams, okay? And my little sister took me. Had it not been her, I probably would have responded, in a defensive manner. Like, what? Like how you was spazzing on them women on 125th? Yeah. I might have lost it, right? But because it was my sister, my younger sister, it made me sit back and take a look and an assessment of where was the connecting through line between all of these things. And a bunch of things converged at once. My brother Quad Mega had called me during the full moon after I came back from doing my little ritual. And he was like, yo, I got this book that you got to read. And I'm like, okay, how you going to get it to me? He's like, look it up online. And it was a book from a brother named Neville Goddard, okay?
What's his name?
Neville Goddard, huh?
Mellow Goddard?
Neville.
Oh, Neville Goddard.
Neville, yes. Okay? And so I checked his book out, right? And his book was definitely on point. It came right on time. And the minute that I found the book and I opened it up, it said this book was published in 1944. So immediately I was like, okay, this is something that, the universe has brought to my attention. And I had to read this book. And I read it immediately. I knocked it down. Well, I knocked the majority of it down that night. You know what I'm saying? And the book was called Feeling is the Secret, okay? And it was one of those books that they say, you read a book in real time and it can change your life.
Yeah.
This book somewhat changed my perception because I had been on my, I've been on my Paul shit, on my high horse, telling people about the power of belief and how power of belief supersedes what somebody's quote-unquote concept of truth is. You know what I'm saying? Fuck what you know. What do you believe? And how strongly do you believe it? So his brother was explaining the science of belief and putting feeling behind your belief. When I went out that same night, and I put that feeling behind my intent, when I came in and I looked at my news feed, 44 officers in France got injured in a riot. I didn't even know they was rioting in St. Louis. Of course, we know that St. Louis is a town or a state, for that matter, that was named after the French, after Louis IX, I believe. Okay? So I'm seeing these correlating factors. I'm not allowing it to necessarily go to my head. I'm just like, okay, I'm really a believer now in the power of the mind. I'm acknowledging it. I'm like, yo, we can do this. But how many other believers are out there? You feel me? Mm-hmm. How many other people believe in themselves? How many people believe in the faculty of thought, the faculty of your own mind? And we always say that this universe is mental, but what are we doing to cultivate those mental powers? What are we doing to demonstrate those mental powers? Have you proven it to yourself? Do you believe it to be true? So this book helped. You know what I'm saying? This book helped. And then when I was able to step back to do some more research, I'm like, damn, we're looking at somewhat of the same situation. Robin Williams committed suicide because of mental depression, okay? Because he could not control his mind and his thoughts and deal and cope in a world in which people loved him. But because of something, he didn't love himself. Right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with a situation where we look at, the young man who lost his life in St. Louis, and we're dealing with a situation where he loved his life, but the world don't love him. So it's a juxtaposition of opposites that we're looking at here. Everything's related.
Duality.
You know what?
Duality.
I made a mistake, and I made judgment. I'm not going to judge again, and I do apologize if there's anybody that's hearing this that was offended, especially, my youngest sister. I'll have to tell her that I do apologize to her. For some things I said, but not everything. Okay? So we grew up on Mork and Mindy. You remember that shit? That was one of our favorite shows. And then when I went back and looked at his catalog, Robin Williams was one of the most brilliant political social satirists of his time. Okay? He put us on to major during the years of R&B, which was Reagan and Bush. He used to bang on that system. You feel me? So if I would have to say, damn, taking him outside of the context of what community likes to put, this adversarial robe on everybody because of their quote-unquote skin tone, if I have to say friend or foe, what category would I put him in? Don't be shy, man.
Who? You asking me?
I'm asking you. Yeah, 'cause you was there with me.
That was my trainer. He entertained me. You know what I'm saying? I was Popeye, bro. Hold on 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah. Damn, babe. That's how I know people ain't from our generation. Nobody even mentions Popeye. God damn it. That was my joint. So, yeah, I'm going on records, and I will go on the social networks to bring some clarity to the situation. You know what I'm saying? That, yeah, I do want to extend a rest in peace to Robin Williams, and I don't want to stigmatize his death or what have you, and I want to overstand it, like I said, as a lesson from the great divine that's speaking to us about the importance of the mind, and keeping the mind divine and keeping it clear and void of all obstructions. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're learning about here, the importance of loving oneself and the power that comes with that. You feel me? With that being said, I would like to, once the brother comes back, definitely get the show underway. Okay? So let me read the description for the program. Join Nonetheless Radio for a powerful presentation, Practical Solutions for Impractical Times. Are you complicit in the sorcery being utilized against you? More importantly, what can be done about it in real time? We are opening the airwaves to bring forth our resident hollow practitioner, Brother Oba, who has an insightful message to share with those willing to receive it. Bring your pads and your pens because class is in session. This will not be a passive program either, but one that implements active solutions in real time. Remember the war's for your mind, and it is time to reprogram your mental faculties so that you can see clearly. Family, with no further ado, I want to present to you caller from the 201-936. Caller, peace.
Peace, what's going on, family? What it do?
Peace. Greetings, my brother.
Yeah,
welcome back.
To the field. Yeah, man. I'm around. I ain't too far. You know what I mean? I'm off the grid, but I'm definitely keeping my ear to the, you know what I mean, to the ledge. So,
absolutely. Can you
before I even
speak a little clearer to the phone, or you got it on speaker?
I'm on regular. I'm just on the phone. I ain't got it on speaker yet. I'm on the iPhone.
Okay.
My girl's iPhone, so I ain't technologically that familiar. I don't really fuck with this stuff. Excuse my language, but I do want to start out with shouting out the peoples. I got to give a big shout out to African Echoes in Newark, New Jersey. Okay, Brother Imuni, Brother Trust, Brother Ali. You know what I'm saying? They be doing the work out here, because Newark is in some bad shape, spiritually. You feel me?
Oh, yes, indeed. Hello? Brother, you there?
Hello? Hello?
Yes. Probably
I'm sorry.
Peace.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was technical difficulties. I said I wanted to shout out African Echoes.
Yes, African Echoes.
Yeah, for African Echoes out here in New Jersey, man, they do the work. They bring the peoples out. They have the lectures. You know what I mean? They have the study groups. So I gotta shout them out. I gotta shout out Brother Trust, Baba Nooney, Brother Ali. They really, Brother Tambu, all of them, they be doing the work, you know what I'm saying, down here. And because Newark is kind of hard because they stuck in a tribal war, you know what I'm saying, with the blood and the crip thing, block to block, and they're not really fighting the war against the Cowboys and Indians, you know what I mean? So I gotta give it up to Brother Baba Nooney and them because this is an organization that goes back to the days of First World. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They still run it.
Right.
Truth be told, I just did a ceremony last week, and I initiated somebody as a full Olarisha priest. And Brother Baba Nooney and them brought Renoko Rashidi to my ceremony. Okay?
Wow.
So I got to give a shout out to Baba, Renoko Rashidi for coming through and partaking in these indigenous, you know what I'm saying, rituals that we maintain and that we keeping together. So I just wanted to shout them out because they're doing the work. You feel me? But Renoko Rashidi is in the spot. They just came back from Mexico looking for black people. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're about
my partner, shout out to Seaweed. My partner went on that trip. He was just giving me the information about what they encountered. He was talking about they made like a 16, 17-hour trek. You know what I'm saying, on bus. I'm like, say what? He's like, he's like, Renoko about that. He was like, they have to drive 16 hours, 17 hours to a site through the jungles of Mexico.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
He's the last of the Dr. Jeffries group of people, you know what I'm saying? Son ain't just sitting down, pontificating and conjuring up. He out there doing the work, you know what I'm saying? He out there taking the pictures, finding the black people where they ain't tell you that there's black people been maintaining. So, and for him to come through to my celebration because it's a 7-day ceremony, and so he came through on the 3rd day when we had the drums and all that, partook in that. That shows the dedication like that. He's not just talking, putting the dashikis on and talking the shit. Son coming out and doing it. You know what I mean? And so I was clapping at him and he came through and blessed me with his presence. And so I had to shout Bob out because he came through. You know what I'm saying? And so I got to give it up to the people that are doing the work. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing the work, but I can only people, those who I can see as far as I know. I hear you.
Is that the closest you could get to the phone? Because it just sounds like there's a little distance.
Do you hear me a little better now?
Yeah, a little better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna talk like I'm in the booth when we about to spit some 16 bars or something.
Peace, Brother Oba, Brother Repto back on the line. What's good with you?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be talking to the people, man, to give them some insight. It's these are some trying days right now.
Yes.
The machine is trying to trick people. It's inundating people with fear and hopelessness. Okay, because all of this stuff is popping off at the same time, and you feel like you don't have any means to change it or have any effect on it. I got to shout out the people out in St. Louis for doing something. We may criticize what they're doing, but they did something. Here it is in New York.
That's right.
The Brother E. I know, son. He's from the side. He's from Troy Avenue and Fulton Street. They choked my dude out. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about Eric Gardner, right?
Yeah, man. I'm talking about Eric Gardner, Big E, man. He's from one Troy Ave. Feel me?
Wow.
They done choked old boy out, man. I know that guy, man. he family was, you know what I'm saying, he related to some people that I know, like, you know what I mean? Like, dude always was a good dude. He was a big dude, but he never took his size to, you know what I mean, to take advantage of anybody. Let's be clear about that. Because in his younger days, he would put all of the police on their ass. Let's get clear about that. You feel me? In his younger days, he'd have knocked all of them cats out. There wouldn't have been no choking him out. They'd have been, you know what I'm saying, dragging him in the precinct, calling him a cop killer. You know what I mean? And so we didn't do nothing in New York. Like I said, I ain't with the Skittles and the hoodies, man. I'm not doing no protest on social network. Man, we got to do something. You got to divest your money out of these industries that take from us that we don't get nothing from. You know what I mean? It's, okay, you want to look nice, that's cool, but if you're giving your money to these Koreans who give that money to the Indians, who when they come to this country, they hate your guts, stop spending your money with them. I mean, to look that fly ain't really that important at some point. When do you have a stance? When do you have an attitude about something? You understand? Like, yo, I don't purchase Michael Jordan because I feel like, yo, you contributing to the prison industrial complex. I'm not with that. And so I got to take a stand. I don't care how black you are, boy. If you're doing something that's against my moral code, then I got to change. I got to, you know what I'm saying? I got to divorce myself for you. And so I divorced myself for Sean Carter. Because you know what? I feel like you ain't doing anything for my people. You sold my neighborhood to these crackers, and now you talking slick about how brothers ain't got it. But you contributed to that. You understand? And so I got to take a stance. Yeah, your music might be popping, but guess what? At some point, I got to stand up and be like, I ain't with that. You did it? And so we have to start looking at how we can, because we are the greatest consumers in this country, and probably the whole entire world, right? And we don't divest our money to people who necessarily don't give us respect as an ethnic group. We don't divest our money. We don't, when we were growing up, it was a long time before cats in New York wore Reeboks, because they was talking about Reeboks was supporting apartheid, and cats stopped wearing Reeboks. Right. You remember that? That Reebok thing?
Right. Yes, I do.
Exo Fits and the classics, only the cats out of town was wearing them, because in New York, in places like New York and L.A., niggas wasn't wearing the Reeboks because it was like, yo, you're going to have to divest out of from South Africa. You know what I mean? And so this generation, our generation, we have to be culpable about that. We come from a generation of boycott and consciousness. This rap business that we all enthralled into, it didn't start out with all of the champagne dreams and caviar, you know what I'm saying, days. It didn't start out that way. And so it's up to us because it's our children. Michael Brown, that's somebody like our age kid. You understand?
Yeah, he was born in '96, around them times.
Yeah, '96.
Like he was born off the hip hop music.
My homegirl's kid. That could be any one of our kids. I had, you know what I'm saying? I could have the minerals to make babies in '96. So you telling me that it's okay for them to kill my babies? Because this ain't my homeboy no more. We talking about my son, my nephew. You understand? My godson. You talking about that, and it's okay? Nah, it ain't okay. And then for us to say anything about it, so you know what? They off there riding in St. Louis, then I support that. Although it may not be the best thing to do, but guess what? They're doing something. You dig? And so we have to take back our generation, because at the end of the day, everything that they're doing on television and all of that, that's based on our generation, the children that were born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, that got their thing on in the 90s. This is ours. When you see them twerking and all the slang, all of that comes from us. Let's be clear about that. Okay? And so,
the Shmurda dancers, the Tati from when we used to be in the dance hall, man. I mean, the Shmurda dance with Bobby Shmurda.
Yeah, I said this before. He ain't invent nothing new. That's like I said, that's the Tati and the pepper seed and all of that, the heel toe that these kids is doing. We invented that.
We invented that. I'm going on record.
You hear me?
I'm going on record saying this. and I'm co-signing everything that you're saying, Oba. The code, the program that the youth are going and living by, from the thoughts all the way down to the knuckle draggers. We wrote those codes in the tunnel. We wrote those codes in the art. We wrote those codes in the 90s. It ain't about it ain't about Jay-Z. It ain't about Puffy. What about all of the niggas that they made music for? They still alive. They're the ones that are carrying out the code. They having children, man. It's not about those 5 or 6 rappers. It's about they was making music for, and they was emulating people from the hood that we know. We grew up with everybody.
Absolutely.
So the code that the world is. I'm in Atlanta right now, Oba, and it's a fact. And I'm not getting on my high horse. I'm not getting in my ego bag. I'm digging into my legend bag. I help personally build up Atlanta, visit by visit, brick for brick, and that's fact. Anybody who's out here, that was out here, when it really mattered, will tell you. We played our hands personally. Not I know the man who knows. No, me personally. Me, Burger, and Chi-Young, right off of N.A. Rock, right off of Notion Ave, came out here and laid this thing down and created what they know now as Black Hollywood. Facts. Without the weirdo stuff. But all of that wearing Gucci, all of that Louis, all of that Get Fly party, all of that is a New York Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Flatbush motif that we created during the Biggie era, man. This shit is nothing new. It is nothing new. And it's an illmatic, it's a loop that keeps looping, and each time that it loops, it gets more degenerative. But we're responsible for this.
No, we're totally responsible for it. And we can't, see, first of all, I'm gonna dig in on our elders for a moment, okay? I'm going to give it out like it's supposed to be given. First off, the baby boomers, they full of shit, okay? They're full of shit. Excuse my language or the Latin that I'm using, but they are full of it. You know why? Because baby boomers had this idea that they changed the world, with their youth, right? And because they thought that it was their youth that changed the world, they held on to their youth. So you had literally a generation of people who have not grown up. They were in some Peter Pan business. So that you see baby boomers with long hair and a ponytail trying to be hippies. That day is over. So now, because they haven't grown up, we forced our generation to not grow up. Okay? So that you can't tell the difference between somebody old or young anymore because old people dressing like young people. That's a problem. There's no distinctive lines between generations at this moment. So that you got cats whose parents didn't really necessarily grow up listening to hip-hop. They was already adults when it came out, but now they're all into the hip-hop. So they've now transcended into another generation trying to act like they're young. And so what does that do for our generation? That makes our generation juvenile. So that now I look at 40-year-old men with their pants hanging off their ass. Like, son, what are you doing? You feel me? You're not being a man. You're not even aspiring to grow up to be a man. You still rocking fitteds and snapbacks like you a teenager. And then what happens, the same men be talking to teenagers because their mind has not developed beyond their juvenile age. So their little teenage age, they literally have not progressed beyond that. So they're still acting like teenagers, but we got men that are 45 years old talking about, yo, I'm about to knock shorty down. What you talking about, son? You got to get it. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't talking about knocking something down, I got a 401k or something, you sliming. Okay? So what happens is the baby boomers have set everything out of motion because they have not wanted to grow up. You understand? And so they've been on their high horse talking about how they changed the world in the 60s, but they haven't grown up since then. They haven't established themselves as the elders that they're supposed to be. And I'm not saying it's the whole entire generation, but as a broad stroke, the entire baby boomer generation is still acting like this is the summer of love. Okay? And that affects us. But now, we got a generation of cats that ain't growing up yet. They're not even realizing that because I'm going to be honest with you. When I turned 30 years old 7 years ago, I had not a clue what I was going to do. You know why? Because I came from a generation that was dying at 16, 14 years old. So to make it to 30, I didn't have a plan because I didn't think I would make it that far. And that's a reality that nobody.
Do you remember? Yeah, the market that we had on 30 was big. Being broke at 30, give a nigga the pills. Like, that was the only shit to make us scratch our head. Like, oh shit, I'm 30 and I'm broke. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Other than that, there was nothing reinforcing for you to have a perspective to look back at your life when you was 30, because it wasn't guaranteed. Nobody was talking like that.
Exactly. And so you listen to Pac, and Pac tells you, I was born in this world. I didn't make it. Okay? And so we got a generation that we didn't necessarily, we were dying at between the ages of 14 and 21. When I made it to be 30, I had no plan because guess what? I didn't think my lifespan would make it that far. Okay? And so now at 30, I had to reinvent myself. Like, what am I going to do? Because guess what? Those years, they didn't give me any skills, to work in their workforce to do any of these things. So now I have to find an alternative way to live. Okay? Now my second indictment, unfortunately, goes out to the Christians. Okay? Now they're not going to like what I got to say, but it's the truth. So the state of black affairs, is a lot of it weighs on the black woman. And the reason for that is because she does not acknowledge the power that she has. She's still trying to play the victim in front of us. How are you playing the victim when you account for majority of the consumer consumer goods in the entire world? In the entire world. Okay? So you say, oh, well, the black man ain't this and the black man ain't that. But you've been raising them for the last 30 to 60 years. You've been raising them by yourself. And so when you say, oh, I don't need a man, well, you've put us in a position because guess what? Now raise them. But you didn't raise a good black man. So what happens now? You now have black women who are now looking for white men to be the ones to necessarily mate with and court with. We got that's the whole billionaire. Okay?
That's all the Brooklyn right now.
Yeah, it's on television. Scandal telling them to be having an affair with a white man.
No.
See?
What I'm saying is, when you go to Brooklyn, the new Brooklyn, and even some parts of Harlem, but definitely that new Brooklyn, when I was at Dance Africa BAM in May, Memorial Weekend, I got a rude awakening about the new wave that Brooklyn is on, family. All right?
Yeah,
and this ain't we ain't talking about Raquisha and all of them. We talking about my aunt Sekhmet Bay was coming through with they was coming through with pink toes and snow, you know what I'm saying? Like, they was coming in hard, pointing out the shea butter, pointing out the kente cloth, you know what I mean? Trying to wrap them up in the dashikis and all that. Like, they was really going in. I'm talking about waves of our sisters, natural, so-called goddesses. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. This wasn't like the Kerry Washington lookalikes. These was Badu daughters coming through hard.
Well, dig this. How is it?
Sorry, Blue.
How is it that they can necessarily have anything to say when? And I'm gonna go in on the whole indictment, and I don't really care because I know that the sisters they're gonna feel away. But this is what it is, and if don't nobody say it, it ain't gonna get said. The bottom line is, since slavery, the black woman has been in power. Okay? Because there wasn't no male bed warmers in the house. So when you see Django and you see Samuel L. Jackson, that's not a real depiction of plantation life, because don't no old black man get to run no plantation. I don't care what, because that young white boy didn't suck on his titty. Let's be clear about that. Okay? And so from the time of slavery, she has usurped the black man's power because she's been put in power by the white man. Okay? Now let's look at her victimization. Her victimization isn't based on what? They raped you? They was raping the men too. So they was raping us, then castrating us and hanging us from trees. Okay? And the prison industrial complex ain't filled sisters. It's filled with young black men. Okay? And so when you look at the situation, when you look at in terms of economics, in terms of households, most black women have two incomes in their household. They got the one that they work, that they got the little BS job with, and then they getting some type of support from half of it or somebody else's check. Okay? So that means there's two incomes in that home. And what do they spend it on? They spend it on hair, nails, sneakers, and electronics. But don't know black men spend money here, but they don't spend money in terms of a real ratio compared to the black woman. Not by far. Because you can stand on any block in any urban neighborhood and you're going to see more women driving on them cars, those foreign cars, than you will see the men. Okay? So let's talk about the fact that they've been talking all of this victimization bullshit. But they haven't been victims in a long time. Because they didn't shoot a black woman out there in St. Louis. They shot a black man. They choked a black man in Staten Island. Okay? John Bell was a black man. Amadou Diallo was a black man. Admiral Williams was a black man. They don't do this to black women.
Oscar Grant.
You understand? So the last black woman that you could really say, oh, well, they did this to the sister, might have been Eleanor Bumper. Okay? And I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to the sisters. No, by no means am I saying that. But I'm saying in terms of the ratio, the disparity is crazy compared to what happens to black men. So now let's talk about how we're going to necessarily change that. How we change that is when the black woman stops necessarily pledging herself to the material items that the white man sells her. Okay? When she decides that... Say that again?
I was saying, and the Korean as well.
Absolutely, and the Korean. But I mean, they're all agents of racism. Okay? Mm-hmm. And when I say the white man, I'm not talking about the individual white man, because I know some white people that are really good people, and I deal with them as people. But I'm talking about as a broad stroke group. White racism takes the money out of our community. We don't have any industry. When you listen to Umar Johnson breaks it down to you that there is no black middle class. Because guess what? All those black women that went out there and got some PhDs, they don't make the money that they're supposed to make. Okay? But they spent that money for that education, though, didn't they? It ain't black men spending that money on that education. Okay? So now what has to happen is that in order for us to necessarily evolve and to make ourselves well, they have to divorce themselves of all of the material items that they require. Okay? They have to divorce themselves of that. They have to necessarily start to rate men based on their character and their deeds, and not how much money they make and how many chicks that they got surrounding them. Because these chicks talk about all of that nonsense, but at the end of the day, you support that. All of the chicks love Jay-Z because he got money, not because he's a great guy. You understand? So there ain't no chicks talking about, yo, I'm a big up Poor Mega or Common Sense or any one of the conscious brothers. Those are good dudes. So they're going to go with the dude who got the fat pocket, who look like a white man. Because he look like he put the suit on and, you know, he could spend some money and make you feel like
let me interject. You know, because we do live in a society where it's structural, and we do know the nature of a woman, and she's going to gravitate towards the power, or what she perceives to be the power center of that particular structure system. So are we just focusing a lot more so on the effect and not the cause? Because, you know, a woman is going to choose, and based on the criteria that she's choosing, we see in certain things that make us, quote-unquote, uncomfortable, but we do understand the dynamics. You feel what I'm saying?
The thing is, no, but hear me out, Phil. I'm not saying, for instance, in the 1950s, the model of a family was that the man went to work and the woman stayed home and the kids went to school, right? And not since before desegregation have black men had any kind of power in terms of economics, because prior to desegregation, there was black tailors, there were black butchers, there were black shoemakers, there were black, and these were held by men. And so that these men were able to necessarily have a say in their household in terms of the economics and the moral context of their home. But when you change the dynamics of that, so that now that the black woman makes more money per capita than the black man, how do we change that? So, is it impossible for a black man to be a domestic, for his wife to go to work every day and for him to raise the children and homeschool them and feed them? You understand? If you uplift that image of a black man, then that becomes what the benchmark of what a man is. See, so you're asking a black man to necessarily compete against other black men so that he can hit this glass ceiling. And so what about the other black men that have to compete? So they don't get to be men because they didn't get that position? You understand what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
Economically, when you have somebody like Colin Powell, the most powerful black man in the world, telling you that there's a glass ceiling, that means that you're running a race that's already been rigged. And so once you get to understand that the race is rigged, I'm not going to win, then guess what? We're going to change the criteria for what the winner is. So what I'm saying is, if the sisters are the ones getting the PhDs, if they're the ones that are getting the $100,000 jobs, let them do that. But now it's up to them to uplift the idea of a black man being able to be home with his children and not necessarily that lowering his standard of being a man. You understand? You get where I'm coming from? So that you would have a man that doesn't feel a way about being home with his kids because his wife supports that. Like, you know what? I got a great husband. He be at home. He teaches the children. He homeschools them. He cooks for them. He does the laundry. My house is clean. He takes care of the lawn. That is that guy. And I just go out here and
what I'm saying is this, right? In this society where we're dealing with, in this society, though, where we're dealing with a level of groupthink, is that practical? Because we're asking the person, they will have to be an individual in order to step away from the group and say, you know what, I'm going to set my own criteria and I'm going to follow that. But if we're saying that the people are just moving in a direction that sways the masses of the people, then we're speaking about, are the people under a spell? And if so, how do you break that spell where individuals are now setting their own criteria? The society doesn't promote people to be individuals. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is following the script. Everyone is looking to, everyone is looking to the magicians for their orders, and the magicians are on TV. The magicians are waving the wand by way of mass media, whether it be on a silver screen or whether it be on, on the regular TV screen. So who's dictating the ways in which society moves? And at what point did it jump track and go that way? Because it wasn't always that way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at a point in time of which, when did the black family break? Around the 60s and 70s. So we're looking at a point in which Black Panthers stood for strength, revolution stood for strength, doing for self stood for strength. You know what I'm saying? And then we know that civil rights and things of that nature might have crept in, or that was a little bit prior to, Black Power, what have you, but it got watered down by way of integration, like Claude Anderson speaks about. So when the dollar became the dominant factor in society and a hustler removed the revolutionary out of the place, okay, then the whole ethos of cash rule came in, and then now we're looking at what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Where did it switch up, and what can be done, to bring things back?
It switched up after desegregation. See, the thing is, it's not so much that we can't, the individual from the individual, the group. The problem is that black people as a group are subconsciously still trying to emulate the white man. So you literally, so what I'm saying is, it's not hard to look at, but there's a problem in black economics, and it is based on the black man being locked out of making a living in white society. That's a fact. Since the days of Reconstruction, they have made it so that black men cannot get a job. Okay? And so if you're still in denial of that, if you still think that there's equal rights for you, then you're insane. Because the problem is that you're running a race that somebody else got a head start for. And then when you lost by a nose, they asked you why you didn't run faster. What you talking about? The game is already rigged, and nobody wants to accept that. So that you have black people telling you out of their mouth, oh, well, if you just work hard and you do what I do, you could be like that too. What are you talking about? What are you saying? You sound stupid. There's no way that you can necessarily say that, okay, because there's a black dude. So they put Obama in there. And so what they did is they reinstituted the psychosis for you to think that you're fucking somehow free and that you're equal. Because they put this half African, half white man in there and told you that you could be like him. No, you can't. You will never be like him, and they'll never put another black president in until black people necessarily overthrow some part of the government. Let's be clear about that. Okay? Because they didn't put a black American in there. They put an African, half European in there. Okay? And so they've reinstituted the psychosis of, oh, well, you too could do it too. So that I got family members, like I got a cousin that be like, oh, man, I don't know why you couldn't work. And I work for MTA, and I'm like, son, you on a plantation. You don't get it. Like, you on a plantation, and they got you. Because you ain't going to have enough money. So if you lose your job tomorrow, how can you sustain yourself? You can't. You'll be right in the same boat that I'm in. You understand? And so the problem is that black people still, in some way, shape, or form, think that everything is good. That, if you just work hard, them Negroes just want to sell. They just all want to sell drugs. Now, I'm not going to say that there's some dudes out there that probably didn't have to sell drugs or probably don't have to go raw. I'm sure they were just trying to be down with the crew. But then there's those people that they ain't have no other choice because poverty is real to them. You understand? And so it becomes a question of how did that even become a way of life for us? Because it was presented to us. And so is it not, am I the only crazy one to see that the black women do better in terms of education and employment than young black men? Am I the only one that sees that? Because that's a fact. Like, black women make more money than black men, like 9 out of 10. Like, 9 out of 10 times black women are in a corporate setting than the black man is. And the black man that is in the corporate setting, it's only like 4 different archetypes for him. He's either the fake vice president, and he usually looks like a black dude. He's got a bald head, he's got glasses, and he got the cheap suit on, right? Then you go downstairs in the mailroom, it's the dude with the dreads and the dress shirt with the tie with the tie on. And then next to him is the dude with a sweater and some waves in his hair, right? And then there's the other dude that's actually sweeping the floors and mopping the floors at the end of the day, and he got a uniform on. And them are the only 4 black men that you see in the city when you go into one of them buildings. True or false?
Hold on. You forgot the black homosexual.
Right. Well, he fits into the mailroom dude anyway. Okay? So now they got him doing the retail jobs. So is it crazy to think that the young black men have decided subconsciously in their mind that it would be easier for them to be a homosexual or to dress up like a woman than it is to be a black man?
Yes. That's what you're saying. That's the cop out.
And is it crazy that they've been giving our kids ADHD drugs that now make young boys produce female breasts? What are we talking about here? I'm in the daytime television. They got the lawyers firm talking about if your son been taking these drugs and producing female breasts, call this number. What? Women go all across the world to get breast augmentations and get silicone balloons in their breasts to have big breasts, and you got a pill that makes little boys grow female breasts. Where they do that at?
And it ain't happening to young black women. They ain't got no pill that's making young black women grow a penis. You understand what I'm saying? And so the black woman has to stop acting like the elephant ain't in the room. Like, yo, you have a power because they hire you. They let you into their schools. So it's up to you to define what the black man is supposed to be. So, but while you're still saying that all these black men ain't shit, they don't do nothing, they just mooch off for you, they ain't got no jobs, you ain't looking at the situation of why they don't got no jobs and why that they got a school of prison pipeline for young black men. And so only the black woman could change that because she's the one that's in the company with him. She's the one that has the power. She spends the money on the cable TV. She spends the money on the nails and the hair and the Jimmy Choo shoes or the Manolo Blahniks or the red bottoms. Black men don't wear that. You did? Black men ain't busting their tail to get no Michael Kors bag. The women are. Okay? The women are. And so they have the control because it's in their pocketbook. Feel me? Pac said you can't start a war until you get your money right. You feel me? You ain't got no supply lines. You ain't got no war. You ain't got nothing to talk about. So let's point the finger where it needs to be pointed at. The black woman, because she's the one on Love and Hip Hop. She's the one on the Atlanta Housewives and this Housewives acting crazy. Not us. You feel me? And so we have to necessarily divorce ourselves of the material carrot that they've been dangling in front of us. We have to necessarily start to migrate away from these cities because these cities are not built for us. Okay? These cities are not built for us. Then you're not going to be, unless you're making six figures, you're not going to be able to maintain a rent of $2,500 a month. Okay? You ain't going to be able to do that. And so why stick around? Why not omit yourself from the situation and go back to the rustic part, or go back to the South, go back to the Midwest where you could get you a farm, you feel me, as opposed to buying a Lexus or a BMW that you're going to pay for the rest of your life. And by the time you finish paying for it, the thing is so out of date and played out, it don't even mean nothing. You dig?
I think, quite honestly, I think our people really want to play that game, and I feel that irregardless of what they see around them, they feel that they can win because, like I said, because of the societal structure, that is how they identify power in society, the acquisition of things, okay? And in order to, they've all bought into the concept of race, so they are locked into a competition where they feel that they can compete with this man, that everything that he creates is worthy of them having, because we're dealing with self-identity issues, and we're dealing with, just what you said, a lack of love. So if these are our children, okay, from the generation of the late 80s, early 90s, and they didn't receive that love, then they have to compensate for that which doesn't exist, all right? In order for a person, right, to feel a certain way about themselves continuously, we're going to be asking a lot for those people to step outside of a game that they're so locked into. You feel me?
Can I add on?
So locked into it. And then, hold on, with these social networks, then now they have a whole nother layer of feeling that they got to compete. So they're not only competing with, you know, the shorty at the club every other week, or the girl that, you know, she might have went to school with that she got to catch up to, or, you know, shorty that her dude might have left her for. You know what I'm saying? But now she got the vixens online. Now she got the strippers online. You know what I mean?
Now she got Beyonce.
Now she got the people in her group. Yeah.
And Rihanna.
She got to compete with, she competing with Beyonce and Rihanna, not even admiring them anymore, but actually competing with them, because the world is so much smaller now because of social networks. The dude she might have been checking for, you know what I'm saying? Rihanna might have started following him on Instagram, and she's losing it.
Right.
She's in the gym, she's getting her titties done, she's getting the booty. You feel me? Like, she's vying for survival like that because inertly she really wants, and she needs that seed. So now she's in survival mode, like,
Well, see,
how do we convince them to step away from that?
Well, we
get on the farm.
All right. It's fly guys like y'all, right? That, like for instance, you know, back in the days I used to be on the boosting squad and trying to stay fly and do all of that, right? And I mean now that see me, be like, I ain't really on no floss and stuff, and they be like, yo, son, what's good, man? You don't get fly no more. And I'm like, fashion ain't my passion no more, daddy, yo. Like, that shit don't hold no value to me. What really holds value to me is the future. Like, I see beyond. See, because what happened to our generations is we were hit with this a morbid sense of mortality, where, you know, all of that fly stuff was the only thing that was important because we didn't necessarily value life because we weren't living that long, right? And so that takes away from your idea to think forward, of your forward thinking, of thinking in the future, when people have eliminated your future. So now that I've grasped a hold of my future, yo, listen, I got homeboys right now that be like, yo, come to the party, yo, I'm having a birthday party. And I'm like, son, I don't go out and party no more. And they're like, why not? I'm like, because what the hell is there to celebrate? What are we celebrating? What's so you know, we got out of context of how we was living. Like, people forgot why we did the things. There's mitigating circumstances for our behavior in the 90s. There's a mitigating circumstances. We were surrounded by crack and abandoned buildings and police brutality and a mortality rate that was crazy, where the 2 precincts in my neighborhood was pushing out 80 murders a year. Right? So that's 160 people that was murdered in Bed-Stuy every year for the most of the 90s. Right? That's a lot of people. That's 160 people gone every year. Gone because somebody murdered them. That don't even
in one small neighborhood.
In one small neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the brothers that got killed out of town.
That's not even the dirt, that they was instigating.
Right. That's not even has nothing to do with it. We're just talking about getting murdered. And so what happens is we valued that which wasn't really that valuable because we necessarily didn't see a long lifespan ahead of us, right? But at this point, me being 37 years old, that stuff is not important to me. Like, I've rode in a nice car. That's fine. Okay, I know what it is to drive around in a nice car, and then what? You done work all this hard to get this nice car, and it got the leather and the music, and then now what? Because it didn't make you a better person. Right. It didn't change your situation.
Right. We experienced it, but we have now set a precedent through the music and through the culture where now our children feel that they have to experience it, right? And remember, we're talking about this whole aspect of the God particle and this whole lifestyle or living period is about experiencing. It's about feeling. So if we set this precedent and these children are coming up after us, they feel that they got to feel it. The Bobby Smurters of the world feel that they got to live this life out in order to be living because we blaze the trail. So how do we turn around and tell our children that that's not the way to go? And how are we going to set the example where we're carving a new fork in the road? And I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying, like, tonight, let us talk about some practical solutions that will redirect that energy, you know what I'm saying? Or the people that are, you know, that have experienced it, you know what I'm saying? My concept is that build it and they'll come, you know what I'm saying? And what we're talking about is not going to be real until the children are able to see it and gravitate towards it to be like, you know what? Then they got off the grid and they doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? And you know, they're not necessarily out there living like Quakers. You know, there's something to gain from you know, they got their own businesses up, you know what I'm saying? They got inventions, technological breakthroughs, you know what I'm saying? They're not living like the Flintstones. I might wanna be involved with that.
But see, that's the thing though. That's the thing that we can't be afraid of. See, you know, luxuries and things that make your life better, right? That's one thing. But see, I understand the whole concept about, well, you know,
why I got to be broke? I don't got to be broke and be conscious. No, you don't. But what are you getting the money for? You understand what I'm saying? Like, to put on nice clothes, that's a mundane feeling. After that, what else is there? You put on some nice clothes. Like, y'all know you've been the flyest dude in this planet, and it don't make you any better, okay? Mm-hmm. And so we have to reestablish what the value of certain things is. What's really valuable? You know what's really valuable? That, son, you can't talk to me and come kick it with me and smoke a blunt, and you won't take care of your kids. Like, that ain't cool. I'm not fitting to co-sign you on that. You can't hang out with me. You can't break bread and do nothing with me when your kids is at home and they don't know who you are. I'm not hanging out with you, and that's real talk. Like, I've divorced myself from a lot of people because guess what, son? You're not living right. You're not living right, and that's simple things. Like, go see your kids. I don't care. Oh, she don't want to let you see them because you ain't got no money. Buy them. We'll show up at the school. If you're there every day at the gate and wait to see your kid every morning, be like, yo, I love you. Well, I can respect that. But if you're just talking about them trying to get this money, but you ain't seeing your kids, I feel a way about that. And guess what? I'm not fitting to support you. You're not fitting to hang out around me like that. You understand? Because I'm a man. Right. And so I have to necessarily establish what is valuable to me. What is valuable is I got a homeboy that necessarily adopted his sister, his wife's niece. Because her brother is stressed out on drugs, and a young dude, he in our age group, he's stressed out on drugs and been in the crazy house in and out. And suddenly had 2 kids. And so what did my homeboy do? He adopted his niece. You feel me? Because her father can't get it together. That's my man. Right. If he called me tomorrow and asked me for anything, I'm going to stop what I'm doing to try to facilitate to that for him because he does manly things, and I value that. So when somebody asks me, yo, why you be all going after son? I'll be like, because she's a man. Because guess what? Son necessarily adopted his niece. How about that? And that's how you got to put it in their face. Like, nah, son, you can't hang out with me and you doing foul business. I don't rock like that. And I'm going to look at you like a sucker. You feel what I'm saying? We have to reestablish the lines of what it is to be what it is. Like, nah, dude, you can't tell me, oh, you rocking your ass out because you're trying to keep up with the kids, son. I don't respect you for that, homie. Like, don't talk to me. Yeah, all right, what up, son? Yeah, whatever. Keep it moving. Yeah, what up, son? Why you acting funny, son? Because your ass is out, and I don't really like seeing a man with his ass out. So, nah, don't dat me up. We'll talk. We have to establish the lines and be real about that. Like, when I go back to the sty and cats be, son, yeah, about to shake son up. I'm like, shake who up? What are you talking about? You didn't see that cracker just walked down the block drinking his coffee? Don't tell me about that. Who you going to shake up? Because he don't owe you enough money for you to kill him. But you ain't said nothing to that white boy that just walked past you that looked at you like you was a turd on the ground. Talk to me about that. So you be like, yo, I can't fuck with son because son be on something different. Absolutely. And when you see me and I got a smile on my face, even though I don't got a pair of Jordans on, you know what it is because I'm happy. I'm good living the way I am. I just stressed out talking about, yo, where's the next jokes or whatever. I live. Real talk, I live like a real witch doctor, son. I do my little readings. I get $20 off a reading. I ain't trying to take nobody's money. I'm going to give you enough money that you can get, you know what I'm saying? You can get here, and if I'm telling you something that you don't agree with, then you can at least go home and think about it, and you won't feel like I robbed you. You understand? Because guess what? That $20, it ain't going to make or break me. You know what is going to make or break me? This mind I got in my head. Because I'm going to connect with somebody that's going to be like, son is a real dude. You know what? What you trying to do? I'm trying to have this farm. Here, let me put this money to support you. As opposed to putting this money up so you could do this rap album so you can floss on somebody. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we got to establish what is really valuable at this point. You feel me? What's really valuable? What do you, like, I got a homeboy, he was doing the music and I was promoting him, and my question to him is, what are you really doing this for? Oh, I want to make sure the homies is all right. No. What do you mean the homies is all right? No, the homies got to make sure that they all right. What you going to do for the babies? What you going to do for these kids? You feel me? Mm-hmm. What you going to do for them? Right. Are you talking about establishing something so that
At the end of the day, you got money to put into another business that at least the young boy could get a job as a delivery man, because they can't even get a job at that at this point, because Mexicans then took that job from them.
Mexicans ran with that.
Real right. Real right. And so
Shaman told me Papa John's is hiring niggas.
Yeah, Papa John's is hiring, but you got to have a car to do that job. How about that?
Oh, you got to have a whip, son. Damn.
You got to have a whip
or
for
a hot
that.
metro, a hot weekly metro.
Yeah, okay, you can hand out little metro newspapers, but that ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no future in that.
At all.
Ain't no future in that.
At all.
That's a welfare job, and I'm not saying that's against anybody that got that job, but I'm saying that's a job they give you to pacify you so they can give you a little bit of, you know what I'm saying, shillings for the month. Feel me?
No doubt.
I'm saying we have to reestablish what is valuable to us as a people. What is valuable? What do you think means something? You understand? I'm not going about, son doing it, he getting money. So what? That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing to me. Because if you don't have the character to be about his business and the people, let me tell you, my girl got a daughter. She's 4 years old. You know what my job is? To establish value into her. Okay? If me and my girl don't even make it, at least when that little girl see me another time, she'll be like, yo, I remember him because he used to tell me things that were right and correct. You feel me?
Mm.
And so, niggas be in shorty crib, they knocking shorty down. They ain't paying the little nigga no mind. They got him doing they got him, yo, son, do the smutty dance. Look, shorty, you can do the smutty dance. Word. Come on, man. You ain't gave him nothing. You ain't sit down and read a book with him. You feel me? My ex-wife, he can tell you the first time I met her son, the first thing he did was sit on the couch next to me and put a book in my lap and open it up, and I read the book to him. Feel me? Son is about to graduate from high school next year from Benjamin Banneker. He got good grades. He got colleges calling out for him right now. You know why? Because I gave him value. And so when he sees me, he respects me, not like I'm his mom's ex-husband or whatever. Nah, he'd be like, yo, that's my step-pops. Son is a real dude. You feel me?
Right.
Real rap. Little boy, I scratched him. He's initiating Apollo, and his pops don't even know. You feel me? Because he understood that, you know what, this dude over here, he be giving me real deal. And so I'm gonna follow him, and I understand that my pops is who my pops is, and he ain't ready for that, but I'm gonna rock out with this dude.
Right.
So, what I'm saying is, it's time for us to migrate back to the country. We don't belong here no more. Ooh. We don't belong here no more. This ain't our environment. Okay?
Oba.
True.
First of all, Ghetto Shaman sends his blessings. He said, what up?
Oh, that's what it is. That's my guy right there. Tell him, shout out to the people of the Ghetto Shaman down in ATL doing this thing. You know what I mean?
Peace, God. Peace, God.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
how that?
We gotta big up the people that, like, I gotta give a shout out to A.A. Rashid. Feel me? Because he be saying stuff that although people be getting all up in the house about, it make people think and make people talk. It makes them have a conversation about it. Make them think about things. As opposed to
he's engaging.
Absolutely. He's engaging you into what is going on in society, and how is it resonate with you. You feel me?
Fact.
So,
I just wanted to add on, Oba, that and I just want to agree. I just want to veggie back off of what you were saying, because on the show we brought this up in the past few months, and also on YouTube as well about and I'm in Atlanta right now. I just came down here today about the importance, and rather the to make the case, to state the case that it's time to pull ourselves out of these cities on all levels, financially supporting their little stores and whatever else that they're trying to do, paying their rents, giving them Israelis more money to buy rockets to kill babies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
even if we are in the city, everywhere outside of the city consists of farmland and acreage. There's this big rumor going around in the conscious community that there's people sitting on acres. All kind of different. I'm not talking about one person. There's always someone saying that they have 10 acres, 8 acres, 20, 80, and I believe them. I do. Facts. I just need them to step forward now, become more vocal and more visual, and give our people, take a camera, go on YouTube, open up an account, and take some footage of your land and tag certain people in it and let us see that land, because we're from the show me state. It is because what we could do with those lands outside of the cities is we can establish an economy and an industry. So when we go back into the matrix like Neo, and then when they left Zion to go into the matrix to pull other people from out of the matrix, we now can have food, clothing, and shelter for them. We could bring the goods that we raise on these farms and these goods that we build and we create, the arts and crafts that we create. We could go into the city to do commerce on a weekend and bring that bread back and keep building. We could continue to build, family. There's nothing at all, nothing at this point stopping us or getting in our way. So please
let me give you a real quick example. They have container homes, right? You can buy a container home for about $3,500. You could buy 3 of them if you want a nice size container home and put them together. You know, that's about 9 racks. You don't owe no rent or nothing after that. You can buy. They sell tiny homes for $10,000. You feel me?
Sure.
So
they sell monolithic domes. They got monolithic domes that go from $5,000 to $30,000. Monolithic domes. They have something called earth ships that they build with tires, broken bottles, and a bunch of natural resources. You can have. I'm talking about the cribs are elaborate, family. Solar energy powered. You got plumbing. You got electricity. Anything that you have in a regular home, you can have in the earth ship. Okay. And like Blue was saying, they have the prefabricated homes. So if housing is an issue, look, and if you really want to get on your techno, if you really want to feel like you're in the future, they got the 3D printers that are printing out homes in China, okay?
Absolutely.
And those are on the market as well. Facts.
Absolutely.
You could print out a home at this point.
Absolutely.
Google all of that.
Well, and that's the thing. We have to get back to our rustic, because, people get it twisted. We only been up here in these cities in the last 60 years, which ain't no time at all. That's the only time that we really become acclimated to the city life. It's only in the last 60 years. And we left because we didn't know how to, we weren't clear at that point on how to establish our own. You buy some land someplace that's off a grid that's not a part of a township, guess what? You don't pay no property taxes on it. You know why? Because the property taxes only go for the services that you need, like fire, police, and all of that kind of stuff. You feel me?
Exactly.
So there's places that we could establish where we can actually create the government. You know what I'm saying? We could create the sheriff's department so that we don't have to go into no place and deal with all of the bureaucracy. You feel me?
There's many lands that are near natural water sources. There's nowhere else where you're going to be able to get natural water sources. Water is going to be the hottest commodity on the planet. So the thinking man, his move would be, okay, how can I get myself near some water? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's near a mountaintop where there's water coming from the mountain or natural springs or what have you, how could you get near some water? That's necessary. These are survival tactics. These are things that we need to be talking about.
That's a good segue to what one can do while being in the city. If you work in an office and there's computers and you're in a cubicle or whatever, a glass of water sitting on your desk helps you immensely in terms of your physiological aura and your metaphysical aura. Okay? Just a glass of water sitting there with let the bubbles collect so that there's oxygen, so that you see the oxygen levels around you. Okay? These are things that one can do because the more and more that we fixate ourselves on these mechanical devices and become dependent on them, the less and less that we are connected to the actual earth. Okay? And so just simple things like a glass of water cuts a lot of the ions in the air around you so that you don't become a drone stuck in the little cubicle going to work every day doing the same thing, blah, blah, blah. There's different little things that one does, like you put a glass of water on your desk or some candy so that when the boss come in there to talk to you, you put something sweet in his mouth. They think about it before you start talking greasy to you. These are little things that we do that we call, this is little juju, a little magic that we practice that cuts the severity of the environment that we're stuck in, okay? So water is mad important in that regard. Like, there's places that we need to find so that we can have our own natural source of water so we don't have to be beholden to them to get our water from some dam or whatever. But water, just in general, will help to alleviate some of the pressure that one feels is stuck in a technological world of reality. Okay? I don't know about you, but if I'm holding a cell phone, a smartphone in my hand for too long, my hand gets numb because I can feel the heat emanating, the radiation emanating from the phone.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a problem. That's something that's going to necessarily start to ail people in the future. They're talking about now, they're telling people to be careful of leaving their cell phone on the bed at night when they're charging it because the cell phone could heat up and catch fire. Okay? These are real things to worry about. Good night, baby. Love you, too. I'm sorry, y'all. Excuse me. I had to say good night to my little baby girl. So, these are things that one can do to alleviate some of the pressure of being in a technological paradigm, okay? And to literally just divorce yourself from being on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. Do that. Take a week off. You feel me?
Yeah, I did that. Facebook Ramadan.
Yeah, son, you got to fast off of that stuff. Like, I go on there.
Yeah, I couldn't take the babies with the holes in they. I couldn't do the whole. I'm sorry, family. I had to bow out of the Israeli-Gaza conflict. You know what I mean? You could call me what you want to call me, but it was becoming a lot desensitizing, and it was taken away from me. You know what I'm saying? This was the month of Ramadan, and although I didn't participate in the Ramadan celebration, I just felt it very sacrilegious and very inhumane. Whenever I logged onto Facebook, I was seeing infants, not older, not older soldiers and whatnot, infants and women. I saw a scene where there was a family, and I was scrolling through Facebook real fast, and it looked like a family that was just chilling in their living room, and there was some Arabic writing underneath, and I didn't understand what was being said, so I clicked on the picture. Come to find out, it was a family that got executed. I'm talking about the whole family, everybody just sitting in the living room, laid out, holes, with shots to the head. And I decided at that point, because with the people, you could see the psychological effects on the comments that people, on the timeline, there was a lot of arguing, a lot of negativity, a lot of bickering. People were jumping into their bipolar selves. A lot of BS was going forth on the Facebook. So I was like, I'm unplugging, B. I got to fall back into myself for the last week of the Ramadan and just tap in. I went to the masjid and everything, to the nation. I just was returning back to some basics because playing in that social media world, you have to be careful because you are what you eat. Like Blue Pill talks about it, and it's not what you put in your mouth only, it's what your eyes eat. It's what your ears are eating. You feel what I'm saying? You might not eat meat, but you on Facebook all day looking at all of the massacres and the genocide and atrocities that are taking place. And, you might be so Pan-African or you might be so fucking conscious that you be like, oh, that's just them Arabs and I hate them anyway, so who cares? Boom.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, you just did yourself a disservice. You just fell deeper into your descent.
Yeah, they got you with that. Absolutely,
they got you with that one. You know what I'm saying? They got you with that one. Or you might be Christian, and you're seeing the atrocities take place, but your Christian body or that white Jesus in the driver's seat jumps in and says, hold on, beloved, my young lamb, that's Israel. Those are the chosen people. Those are our children. So whatever that they're doing, remember what Revelation said, that this is only preparation. You have to allow the atrocities to happen because Revelations is about to occur.
Right. That's real business. That's real business. Because, the thing is that whole social networking thing, it desensitizes you and it keeps you locked into your dogma. You feel me? Because they cater to your certain dogma and they hit you with the other stuff to desensitize you. And real rap, I ain't been on Instagram in a year. I literally, I got young boy stuck me up and took my my smartphone, right? And on some real, and you know what? I was liberated.
I remember you talked about it.
Yeah, I was liberated. Like, I don't got to deal with the phone. I don't got to answer to nobody. There was a time when if I didn't have a phone, you just had to find me. And you ran into me when you needed to. And literally, life is really good like that. I got a little Obama phone that my girl makes sure I got so she can find me when she need me or whatever. And that's it. I'll go on Facebook. I'll look. I see what people are talking about. And real quick, I get inundated with, wait a minute, I got to get off this. And I logs out, and I keep it pushing. I literally only keep the Facebook thing going on the strength that there's people that are far away that I necessarily want to be able to be connected to or whatever, if I need to find them and reach out to them or, hey, happy birthday or whatever. But other than that,
right,
I don't bother with it because it is the beginning of the devolution of society, okay? When everybody is like, on the gram, and this one on the gram, and that one, and everybody's turned up and all that. When do you really live? Like, I'll be looking on Facebook, and I see how many times somebody posts, and I'll be like, yo, you either stay on your cell phone, or you don't do nothing else but be on the computer. Yeah, when do you have time to appreciate the sun, or the moon, or the sky? So cats is looking at the super moon on Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
On Facebook.
They ain't looking out their window up at it or going outside to get some of that moon, right? No, they on the social networks about this. That's a bad indication or a bad symptom of the society. And as black people, because understand, it ain't until black people got on the internet did the internet become anything interesting. Let's be clear about that. Negroes, World Star changed up everything. The motherfuckers put all kinds of ratchetness on the internet because World Star. Because Negroes started that. Facebook was not popping until black people got a hold of it. And the majority of the people that's on Facebook now, with more than the majority, ain't never been to college because it was originally started as a college site. Let's be clear about that. Okay? And so we have to really recognize our value in the society. And so if we divorce ourselves from the society, right, they will miss us. They will. They will be like, where did they go? What happened to the American Negro? Because he's the one who fuels all of this. All of the Justin Timberlakes, the Robin Thicke, all of that is based on black people. And black people don't even realize that they're being sold. I mean, somebody was telling me, we was having a conversation, and I think it was my cousin. He was saying how they put Trinidad James out there so that they can have you thinking how black people can't rap no more. You understand? And so they'll put out a white girl, and have you, she's nice. So meanwhile, they put out this black dude that can't rap for his life, right? And they gave him $2 million, and they just left him broke out of nowhere. Why? Because they're trying to show you that niggas can't rap no more. We got this now. We got a white girl that rap better than all of y'all, okay? And so they're going to promote this white girl, and they're going to sell this to you like Elvis Presley. And in 10, 15 years, you ain't going to see no niggas rapping, and you're going to forget that niggas even invented this shit because they done did this once before. And you know what's crazy? There's a nigga right now listening to my hell no, that can't never happen. Really? Well, my parents didn't think that was going to happen to Jazz, but I was walking past Halsey Street in Notion the other day, and the little Voodoo Lounge had some white boys in there playing jazz. Okay?
Wow.
And niggas was standing in the corner telling my man, I don't listen to that.
Voodoo Lounge?
The Voodoo Lounge. In the Voodoo Lounge, yeah. Okay?
Wow.
On No Shit in His Halsey, I was walking past and they was playing jazz like the motherfucker out there, and there wasn't a black motherfucker come, you know what I'm saying, touching one of them instruments. Okay? And so, black people, wake up. It's not a game. The time is ticking. Like, they right back to putting niggas in shackles and, you know what I'm saying, having slave traders. Don't get it twisted. You might find yourself wake up in your ass being in China somewhere making Jordans for some fucking Europeans. Don't get it twisted. Feel me? And so the only way that we can combat this is to necessarily divorce ourselves of these luxuries, of these conveniences. Because they're convenient, but doesn't necessarily make it great. Okay? It's convenient to get on Facebook
like convenience stores, yeah.
Yeah.
A convenience store in New York is open 24 hours, but what are you getting out of that convenience store that's convenient for the biology of your body? Convenience stores sell poison 24 hours.
Nothing convenient. As a local meat priest, I can't go in there and get a fresh coconut. Okay? I can't ask them for some palm oil. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nothing convenient about that shit. But you want a Dutch? You want some Colt 45? You want some Four Loko? You want some chips? You want a beef patty with cheese? They got that for you.
Yeah, Shaman brought it to my attention. Everything in them corner stores is in the commissary, too.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Including the tops tobacco that need to smoke up north. Okay?
Yeah.
And they got you talking through a plexiglass window like
through
you do at the commissary.
Same thing in commissary.
Certainly. And you can't touch the items. You can't pick the items up in commissary. It ain't like you walk into a store and you put it in your bag.
They bag them up for you.
You the nigga you list. He gonna tell you whether or not it's there or not. And if he didn't look for it, then you just shit out of luck. Okay? That shit is real. That shit is so real. Okay? And
now, right.
No, go ahead.
Before we go into the callers, because there are people in the call queue with their hands up or what have you, I want to know if you have any advice, anything that you would like to share. Like, I know that there's family listeners from St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? I know that the people out there are looking for some level of remedy. A lot of people have their ears open and they're sitting up like, okay, we need to get into this magic because not everybody believes that they can, physically win this fight. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people want to rely upon the things in which they feel would actually work in a situation such as this. Is there anything that you have to recommend to the family that they can implement to protect themselves, their homes, their neighborhood, their loved ones, things of that nature?
Well, first they got to understand that they need to pray for the young man, Michael Brown. They need to pray for him. Okay? They need to pray that his life is not in vain, number one. And they need to pray and make prayers to him so that his soul finds the source and can reunite with the source so that he can be with God. Okay, so that he can go back to what created him. On a metaphysical level, they have to make a pledge about literally policing themselves. I mean, at this point, honestly, and this is not even just for St. Louis, this is for everybody black in America. We have to heal ourselves from the violence that we commit amongst ourselves, because then there'll be no reason for the police to be in our neighborhoods. Okay? If we could police ourselves, if we can separate the difference between vice and being black, because that has become synonymous with one another, so that just being black means that you automatically are involved in some type of vice. And that's not always so. And so what happens is the vice spills into the community, and the community spills into the vice. So there's a difference between somebody that's hustling and getting money and doing the vice role
and the consequences that lay with that, as opposed to somebody because they black, they've been subject to this type of behavior and this type of environment. Okay? And so we need to necessarily start praying to love ourselves. We need to pray to love each other, like that you can walk down the street and not get into it with another black man because he feels you looking at him, or because you from a different hood or whatever. We need to eliminate that. That shit is the biggest problem. I find that living out here in Newark, coming from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy in the crack era, I done been through it all. And to now have to walk through Newark streets and have cats be like, yo, fuck you looking at, son? Like, what are you talking about, black man? What are you talking about? I ain't coming here to set up shop on your block. I ain't coming here to take nobody's life. Why can't I just pass through just on the strength that I'm a black man? Okay? And so we have to be able to heal ourselves, and we have to pray for ourselves. We have to pray for those people that got shot in the street by the police, that got shot in the street by us, so that we could pray for them so that they're not coming back here and reliving these and rehashing out these old lives that were cut short, coming back with the same bitterness of, another black man shot me, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill me some more black men. We need to get rid of that so that there's no reason for the police to be in our neighborhoods, so that when we see the police, we automatically know that they're the enemy, because the lines aren't drawn between who's the enemy and who ain't. And so this is why he could be shot down in the streets, because what was the police even doing over there? You dig? What was they doing there? What were they doing over there when they took Eric Garner out? What were they doing there? You know what I'm saying? So that he got it twisted, that he thought that he could somehow talk them out of it. No, they're the enemy. And so you got to know that when they're the enemy, you got to be prepared. So like when the Watts riots happened, Pat knew exactly who the enemy was. It was the police officers in them helmets. They was the enemy, not your brother. Feel me? And so does it take for a riot, or, you know what I'm saying, for us now to be united? Does it take that so that when we run it down the street and violence is pervasive, it's not against each other because it's against the police? So why does it take us to get to that point? We need to necessarily stop killing each other. And, like if you're not a gangster, then you shouldn't have to be subject to gangster rules. If you go to work every day, you shouldn't have to walk past a bunch of niggas and worry about whether or not one of them going to jump out and pull a gun out of you. We're supposed to know that you off limits because son go to work every day. He's a civilian. Don't say two words to him unless you necessarily going to be saving his life. You feel me? And so somehow the lines have been blurred about who's gangster and who ain't. And so now everybody that's black got to all of a sudden have some type of gangster repertoire. You know what I mean? That's insane. You feel me? And so we have to be responsible for ourselves so that the police don't have no reason to even come in our neighborhoods. So if they don't have no reason to come in our neighborhoods, when we see them, we know that they're coming to steal one of us, and we be able to be on top of their ass. You feel me? So because we don't have the clear lines drawn, because we ain't policing ourselves, I forgot who it was. I'm reading Michelle Alexander's book, right? And she talks about the fact that and the real deal is that police, that's some illegal bullshit. What are you talking about? In a white town, they have a sheriff, and the sheriff is elected by the people. So if he does something or any one of his officers does anything that's out of pocket, the sheriff is accountable for it because we will fire his ass, right? The fucking police commissioner, Bratton, don't answer to nobody else but Bill de Blasio. And can't nobody get rid of Bill de Blasio for another 4 years. But guess what? New York, they better get motherfucking used to police brutality because it's going to be 4 years before that shit becomes, an issue again. You dig? Y'all talking about stop and frisk, and they out here choking it. You dig? So we got to look at the whole concept of this whole policing thing, because policing has everything to do with keeping the rich, the poor from the rich. It has nothing to do with a sheriff that exacts the law. You feel me? And goes and gets people based on their violation of the laws of the town. You feel me?
No,
so
the police
still have a sheriff's department in New York. They still have a sheriff's department in L.A., but it's the LAPD that motherfucking be kicking niggas' ass.
Facts. Those are policy officers. Those are mercenaries. They are security for hire. Fact. They work and protect the corporations. Henceforth, they're there to protect the rich. This is on record. This could be proven in courts of law. This is on record. They have case study. They're there to protect property. One of the the quote unquote minorities, the quote unquote wards of the states, they're considered to be property, and also the corporations and all of their assets and things of that nature, even their liabilities. Yes, those are properties and property owners, and the policy officers. Those are mercenaries that are there to enforce policy. They're there to enforce statutes. They're there to enforce colorable law. Okay, and they are basically, operating. They are not operating in any kind of lawful terms, in any kind of lawful ways, especially in your neighborhood. So we have to begin to demand that conversation to be had in a public arena. F everything else at the end of the day. No more frivolous talk. We have to demand that these conversations, we have to almost force ourselves to have these conversations on a worldwide stage. That's why we have these outlets, these media outlets. We're taking it to YouTube. We're taking it to the blog talk radios. But we gotta, the brothers and sisters are taking it to the streets. But we almost have to flood all of the channels at this point because it's really, really turn-up time. Case in point, going back to how Oba be rallying against Hova, and speaking about the lack of support that this man has shown for his community. Well, let's fast forward it to the present. Now we have athletes. We showed you throughout the whole summer on Sinetta TV and on other channels on YouTube that the athletes and the entertainers, those who have multi-million-dollar purses, you know what I'm saying? Those people, when Brother Polite comes back on the show, he's going to give you a whole list of names of people that he's run into contact with in L.A. when he's been out there over the summer. I just saw a picture where he was at the Mayweather training facility. So at this point, we've garnered the attention of individuals who have the money, the disposable income, where they could begin to fund this grassroots movement, because it's not even grassroots at this point. The whole damn world is upset. The whole world is going crazy. It's not grassroots. We don't even have to call it that. This is mainstream. This shit is It's not underground. The revolution is mainstream, because they flipping everywhere else but in Black America. So the St. Louis thing is nothing. This shit is late. They got a late pass for what they doing over there, burning shit down. It's a late pass because everybody else around the world is turned up. They say niggas is like turn up in the club popping mollies and doing dumb shit. They turning up everywhere else in the 7 Seas for a purpose. They dying for a purpose.
Certainly.
This civil war is taking place. So
let me say something. Because when they was wilding in Egypt, you saw that red, black, and green flag, right? Synonymous with the flag that fly over here. They was turning up in Egypt. Then it just moved. Libya, it just kept moving through social media. But I look at it like, boom, they put Obama in office. So we'd be like, when the wave comes, or it was a collective consciousness, like, nah, we can't do that to the brother. That's exactly what's happening.
That's exactly what happened. In the R&B era that you spoke about earlier, affectionately known as the Reagan and Bush era, Negroes was wide awake and very militant and very, very down to do a lot of other stuff that they're definitely not down to do these days.
Well, it's
like
because
the brother said.
It's because of comfort. It's because of comfort and convenience. You see, the black aristocracy, they start talking that shit because the niggas is living well. You understand? Motherfuckers, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, the motherfuckers get this shit really twisted in terms of what do you need? Not what you want. What do you need? You need shelter. You need something to eat. You need a companion to necessarily keep you company. These are needs, right? You don't need to be on Instagram. That shit is bullshit. That shit is not real.
You don't need to be on Instagram to take a picture to show somebody what you ate for breakfast. Get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language. You understand? That's bullshit. Okay? So what happens is cats have gotten into these conveniences, and so they don't want to give up their conveniences. You dig? You've been driving the car all the time. You don't want to take the train. That's not convenient for you. But is it a need? Nah, probably not. Okay? And so what happens is that cats, they're not going to shake up anything because, like you said, they're in the club popping mollies and popping bottles. That's convenient. That's real easy to do. But what I
no
give
offense,
up...
no offense to my family in the ATL who hears this, because if you with that real talk, then you know what I'm about to say. Now, we from the city, we from the town, we from New York, we from BK, so we understand that the conveniences of life is not necessarily handed to us as a community in New York.
Right.
It's a different mentality. I got people that come down from down south. I got people from Texas and other places. They come to New York, and they're like, damn, y'all ride the train everywhere, and, you know, niggas like walking too much and all of this other stuff, and damn, you know, y'all don't like going to eat at their restaurants and all of that. I'm like, no, we don't need cars in New York. Fuck a car. We got the Metro card, and we got a Chevrolet. We Chevy on one leg and lay on the next. You know what I'm saying? And if you really, if you get a car, you get one. But if not, it don't stop the movement. I don't care if you got 8 kids. There's somebody in New York that's moving 8 kids through the transit system and through these streets. And they don't have, they just making it happen.
Certainly.
So because we've been exposed to that, it's almost as if that's our modus operandi. We feel like there's not too many excuses in life for not doing what it is that you have to do because we don't deal with a lot of convenience. We just handle it the way that we got to handle it, and we survive.
Certainly.
Now, I made an observation when I came down south a few years ago that this is one of the Europeans and those social engineers who structured places like Atlanta, because Atlanta was not structured and put together by anybody but the black bourgeoisie, the motherfucking boule, and the Europe and the Caucasians who basically handed them the keys to the city post-civil rights. Those KKK crackers that was hanging people a few years ago in Jim Crow South, the ones who got the Confederate flag flying on Stone Mountain in every black motherfucker's face to let you know who really runs this city.
Right.
So I was like, God damn, I ain't been in a more convenient town in my life. These niggas got Target, they got Walmart, they got football season, they got basketball season, they got the Gentlemen's Club, they got Magik, they got Strokers, they got Blue Flames. You know what I'm saying? They got all of the other clubs. They got all the turn-up clubs. They had 112, Autos. I'm taking you back. You know what I'm saying? If anybody that knows those clubs back then, all the way up to now with all of the whatever ratchet clubs, Peter Street. You know what I'm saying? So it is so convenient to live a life where you're just waiting for the new Jordans to come out. You're waiting for Monday night celebrity night at Magik. Then you're going to the next club. Then you're going to room service. Then you're going to wait for the next movie to come out. Then you're going to hang out with your homosexual friends at the mall, Linux, on Saturday and Sunday. Then you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, then you go to church on Sunday to forgive yourself for twerking on Friday and selling it on Saturday. And I'm like, yo, they have pacified our people, because everybody got guns in a garage. Everybody has hammers in the crib. Every house that I've been to, they have, and I'm not saying that our brothers and sisters are lazy out here, because they got a lot of workman tools. Niggas got lawnmowers, you know what I'm saying? They got arsenals, you know what I mean? They got a lot of disposable income. I haven't been around so much rich Negroes in my life than I've been in Atlanta. Like, everybody got something under the mattress.
Right.
It's Chopper City out here. You know what I'm saying? But because of the convenience of the fact that, and going back to what I said, that when we came out here in 1997, brothers coming out of the tunnel era, who exported a lifestyle into a city that was coming out of a Freaknik era. They wasn't about what they about right now. That was a
Right.
that was an implant. That whole way of living, the partying, and you know, running around. It was out here before we got here, but this shit was shaped and molded by people from out of New York. Facts. You could ask anybody, and they'll attest to that. And then when other brothers, when other people from different states started coming in, because remember, Atlanta is the only place where everybody from here is not from here.
Right.
And it is one of the only places where you're going to see young black entrepreneurs and brothers and sisters who don't have parents here. Their parents don't live here with them. Everybody out here is almost on their own because they came out here. They didn't bring their parents with them. Only a few people who, most of the homegrown, and some people's parents came down here. Like my mother got a house out here and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But for the majority of the people, they don't have no parents to answer. They don't have nobody to answer to but them and Jesus.
Right.
And Instagram and all of the people on social networks in the peanut gallery that's out here, whatever circle you belong to in Atlanta. But they have pacified our people in the South with Walmart, with Target, with Sam's Club, with Restaurant Depot, with all of the places that they can eat, with all of the places, all of these malls that they can shop at, with all of the football and the basketball, all of the sports leagues and things like that. So everybody has assimilated and they're heavily indoctrinated into the system. Now, if you want to...
You?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, his line dropped. Yeah, he'll be calling back. Yeah.
No, he's right,
he's
though.
long-winded.
The convenience,
He cooked his line,
is what people will sell you out
Oh,
for.
no. It's amazing.
It's
You know
just
what I'm
sell you
saying?
out for convenience. And the crazy thing about it is, that's what I'm trying to say that we have to divorce ourselves of, is the convenience. You feel me? Like, I'm here in Newark. I'm a Brooklyn dude. You think I can't plant a seed out here to get money? It's easy. But that's convenient. You know, I divorced myself from hurting young black men. I ain't trying to do that no more. I done divorced myself of being out there selling drugs. And not because it's a bad thing. I don't care. I don't have no moral thing about that. But it just isn't productive. You feel me? It's not productive.
Right.
And so my thing is, I'm looking at having, flossing my land. You understand? Like, yeah, son, I got 25 acres. You don't see my cornfields? Yeah, I got a good crop going this year. That's what I want to floss. So that my kids grow up to be like, yeah, they got work ethics, and they don't need to do the twerk and shake their ass to nobody to make a couple dollars, because they'll know that what they need is available to them. Now, we ain't hungry because my pops, they planted them vegetables last season, and them shit, they about to be, harvested, and so we're gonna eat well. You dig? And yeah, I'm gonna get my clothes, and my clothes, yeah, they might not have, rhinestones on them, but they're sturdy and they fit me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Or as the brother was talking about, last Tuesday we had a show with my brother Michael Singleton. Shout out to him. He came forth with the credit repair. Well, let me open Red's line up. And what he was talking about is hemp as an industry. Why not get this land ready so when they do legalize hemp, you know what I'm saying? Hemp is something that's $1 billion crop. You can make clothes from it. You can make biofuel. You can make a lot of different things that you can build cars from it. So we're talking about possibilities now of taking our genius to a place where we could become industrialists for the rest of the world, not just for a marginalized market where we're just selling to black people in the inner city. You know what I'm saying? But there's a world out there that's waiting to do business with us. Why are we on these internets if we're not tapping into global commerce? You know what I'm saying?
Is that the black man in the inner city has been co-opted to think so little. So a cat gets on. He gets on, he's a rapper. First thing the nigga does, I got a clothing line. Come on, son. Cut it out. You ain't even put in the work to go find that kid that went to fashion industries or to FIT to put him on to design clothes. You just gonna be lazy and put your stinking name on a T-shirt and call it fashion, and I'm supposed to buy that. Like, that shit is so cliche. And like at the end of the day, so the only thing that you hear from rappers is, oh, I bought a studio, I'm starting a record label, and I got a clothing line. Like, really?
Like they got a rapper starter kit, and nobody's ever broken out of that mold. Like, you can only make clothes?
It's the only thing that you niggas don't know how to do. Like, you're not telling me, yo, you know what, son? I went to Bronx Science and stopped this kid that he got an invention, and I'm putting this money into him getting a lab so son can make this invention pop off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they don't say like, yo, I just got this deal. I got 4 projects on Kickstarter or Rocket Hub. These are 4 different inventions for the Google glasses and some apps that we're gonna develop. And when we succeed in these campaigns, I'm gonna be able to hire 10 different people for each project. You know, I'm looking for, you know, we're gonna have an assessment test. We're looking for people who can basically pass the assessment with flying colors, and we'll choose them from out of there. But if you come from a certain neighborhood, or if you come from a certain demographics, it's the initial supporters, you're going to beat them in the front-running lottery in the first place. Like, we're being sensitive because we do come from an era where the Nicky Barnes and the Alpos of the world and all of these old-school, quote-unquote, drug dealers were known for being also friends of their neighborhood. I'm saying that by saying that they were the ones who would finance the young people to go to college to become scientists and doctors and lawyers. So they were dealing with a level of my art where they're like, yo, on my left hand, I'm destroying my neighborhood, but on my right hand, I'm investing in the future of these neighborhoods and these children's education.
What are we talking about? Harry O produced Denzel's first play. Harry O did that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's the mentality. Like, he didn't say, oh, I'm going to put on another gangster or I'm going to put a rapper on. He put Denzel Washington on. Like, yo, you know what? These cats, you know, you're talking about...
And a play that garnered artistic, critical acclaim. It just wasn't a ghetto play. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was an artistic play. It wasn't something, yo, I'm going to put on the NWA. I'm going to put on something that is meaningful for other black people. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like Guy Fisher and them owning the Apollo at a certain time. Like, yo, don't just tell me you came out with a rap song, now you're gonna support, you know, a restaurant and
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if Hustlers was able to take questionable funds, right, that they couldn't account for, and they made these major moves in the 70s and the 80s, you feel me? What the fuck are rappers doing? And they have access to diversified businesses based on their audience and the access that they have to these Jews who they, you know, hanging with. And I don't want to put the opus on them only. I'm just saying, feel me, there's many things that we can do. And I'm not talking about a vast majority of the community. You need a few good men, a few good women.
The athletes are guilty of that too. The athletes are not taking their money. They produce, you know, Ron Artest going to be a rapper. Well, get the hell out of here with that. What are you talking about? Put the money in something like a real grocery store. You know, like the one thing I can say about like Jadakiss and Styles is they be opening up their little juice bars and they got the little, you know, the eat healthy joints. They thinking a little differently besides just putting their money into another clothing store with somebody's name across it that got garbage clothes. You feel me? That I'm supposed to support because, like, what are you talking about? Like, you got T.I. with that corny-ass clothing line he had out. That's terrible. What are we talking about? Nelly came out with apple bottoms. Like, okay, it was all right, whatever, but you ain't really serious about it. Like, really, if you're going to do something, do it to death. Go to the school and find the person that does that. Like, yo, son, you design clothes? Listen, I'm going to put you on. And don't nobody even got to know that I'm putting my money into this. You feel me? I'm going to put my money into it, and then I'm going to rock it. Like, I got to give it up to LL Cool J because he was the one that he supported FUBU. He was wearing the clothes in this video. He didn't say, yo, I own part of FUBU, I'm supporting them. This is like, yo, this is the jump off right here, and let's do it. And so it's like the cliche of, like, so you see the young boys, they're on the train selling candy, right? So one of them sells candy, and then the next one sells candy, and then the next one sells candy. And nobody thought, well, you know what, let me step my game up and get some potato chips and maybe something to drink on the train. You feel me? But it's like there's no uses of the mind to expound on something. To be like, yo, he did it, well, let me make it better. Oh, let me get you with that
right.
part that you need.
This goes back to, right, where we started the program, and this is talking about imagination and the importance of capturing and utilizing one's imagination, right? And even what you're talking about in terms of your craft, and a lot of people saying, oh, that's magic. I don't believe in magic. And they don't understand the faculties of the mind and how the mind works. One, I want you to do one thing first, and I want you to do something after that, and then we're going to get into the callers. For the sake of saying there might be people listening that don't know what Palo is and don't know what the Orisha are, can you just give us a comprehensive explanation in your words as to what these entities and deities are? And second, I want you to explain to people how to utilize the faculties of one mind. You know what I'm saying? How does magic work in the mind?
Well, first off, you have to understand that the Palo deities, the Orisha, this is all African magic. This is the way Africans were able to advance themselves and to stimulate their brains to come up with the ideas and the imagination to create inventions like the wheel and simple things that have changed the world. Magic is literally it is the reality that you cannot see with your five senses. You cannot smell it, you cannot see it, you cannot touch it, you cannot taste it, you cannot hear it, but it exists. Now, the cell phone that I'm talking on right now, this is magic. This thing is not plugged into any other thing. It is running by itself. I'm talking through a little white box that has numbers on it, and I'm talking to you, and you're in Atlanta, and where's Blue Pill at? Where you at? I'm
in Cali.
You in L.A.? You in L.A.?
California, yeah, I'm in L.A. Yes,
sir. L.A. So I'm talking to two people that are nowhere near me, right? And so there's little signals that are coming out this little box that I'm talking in that are traveling across the world that I could talk to two other people that are not in my presence. That's magic. You can tell me all the technology that you want, but there's nothing technological about this because this thing is not plugged into a wire that is touching some mechanism that's tapping out signals. None of that's happening. So this is not like electricity or your gas or your water. This is not flowing on a mechanical logic. It's not moving on that. This is moving on something that is talking to something else. So we're talking about magic. Your iPod is magic. Okay, this is why Steve Jobs gets up on stage and it presents it to you so that your mind can conceive that there's a box that you can play games on and read things on and send messages to other people. If he doesn't show you how to do it, you won't know what to do because your mind can't conceive such madness. Okay? So what happens is what they call technology is their form of magic. It is the way that they have figured out how they could talk to somebody someplace else. That's magic. That's telepathy. Okay? Except that they've put it into a box and they've relegated some type of circuit to do this for them. So what happens is, as Africans, we have magic. How do you think we were able to build the pyramids? There's no reasonable way. There's no machines that have been left behind to figure out how we made these pyramids and how we made them exact. There had to have been some type of magic. Something that was beyond what we could see, that was in play, that did the work for us. So these traditions of Risha are the personification of the technology, of African technology. So Yemaya talks about water and how water, the properties of water, and how water behaves, and the nature of water. So that water has the properties that if you leave a glass of water under your bed, your dreams will come out better, because the water in your body will actually communicate with the water in the glass, and it will help hold some of the thoughts which are not containable into a tangible or edifice. Okay? So, the white man has magic. He didn't just show up into Africa and say some words, pull out his gun, and niggas were scared and they just got on the ship. No, he used magic. Okay? And so magic refers to that which is not seen. So even if it's a magic trick, when you see David Blaine and it's a sleight of the hand, it's still magic because you didn't see how he did it. So now, when it comes to Africans, we have a magic. But unfortunately, the white man has tricked you into believing does not exist. Or if you do believe in it, you believe that it's ulterior to God. Okay, because he somehow co-opted God in your eyes, and he tells you that if you don't do his magic, you're doing the devil's magic, right? Which is all nonsense. So what happens is that we have magic, but it's been shoved down our throats. The idea that this magic that we have available to us is somehow evil. So as a collective of the ethnic group of what we call Black Americans or Africans out in the diaspora, we need to necessarily take a hold and confiscate and champion our magic. And our magic consists of how we eat. So in Palo and the Orisha traditions, we have blood sacrifice. Well, guess what? Blood sacrifice is necessary because that Purdue chicken that you eat from Kentucky Fried Chicken, that bird had to die. And the blood had to go somewhere. And they didn't just magically, say open sesame and then the bird laid down and died. And so we have to take away all of the hoopla about the lifestyle of living organically, because now white people have necessarily co-opted that. So they're going to sell you free-range chicken. So how did that chicken be free-range? They let it walk around, but at some point they hit that chicken over the head and cut his throat and let him out, and now you got this free-range chicken. So we have to really put into perspective what it is to actually live as a human being. Because the way we live in these cities, they have taken away, they have desensitized us from how to actually live. So that you get your food pre-packaged, and so you have no connection to your food. You don't know that your food actually walked around and lived. Okay? That your food used to go to sleep. It's different when you see a chicken on the farm and the chicken actually goes to sleep and he wakes up. That makes you think whether or not does the chicken dream? Does the chicken have feelings? Sure he does. And when you take his life and you actually acquire all of his aspirations, all of his feelings, and you take that on. And so if your chicken was in a factory, in a square, caged up, and you ate him, all of the things that he was going through, guess what? You go through it too now, and you're in a box, in a little apartment, caged up, waiting to be slaughtered. Okay? And so you end up acting just like that chicken because you don't know how your food was processed. Okay? And so the Palo and the Orisha traditions offer the black man a way to get back to himself, to get back to see how everything works. Okay? Because this cell phone, this shit is not real. It's only real because I believe in it. Because if I thought that I was talking and y'all wasn't hearing me, then I would just cut the phone off and be like, oh, they can't hear me. But I believe that, you know what, I'm talking to Red and Blue Pill, and they're in California and in Atlanta, and so we're going to have a conversation over the Internet. I believe that, and so it is, okay? But we have the same kind of magic, but we have to necessarily confiscate it back from them, and we have to necessarily champion it so that we understand how it works and understand what is truly valuable to us, what is necessary in this lifetime. What's necessary is the ability to live forever. How do you do that? You make children. And that's why Africans name their children after each other. The white people started that after they came in contact with the Moors. Because before that, they didn't name their children who was the third or the fourth and all of that. They got that from the Moors. Because that says that if I have children and I name them a certain name, and then I die and they have children and they name their children after me, then I get to come back into this existence. And I get to live forever. Okay? And these are things that we have to come to acceptance. You could believe all you want in Michael Jordans and loving hip-hop and iPad and iPhone and all of that, but that ain't going to help you live forever. Okay? Because the moment you die, your Facebook page, don't nobody go check it no more. So you have a little memorial page for about a year, and then people start checking for it, and then you go into oblivion. Okay? That ain't going to help you live forever. Be clear about that. The money that you put into Manolo Blahnik or Gucci for the red bottoms or Louis Vuitton for the red bottoms, that shit don't make you live forever. Because after you spend that money and you wear them shoes, the people that made them shoes do not care about your ass. Okay? And so the ultimate goal of any of this is to live forever. Remember, the people in Kemet, they live forever. They got that gold. They cast themselves in gold, and we still talking about them 3,500 years later. Okay? They live forever. Like that. People get on a plane and go all the way to Egypt to go look at them people, to immerse themselves in their reality. Their reality was 3,500 years ago, and we still necessarily talking about it. So the object and the goal is to live forever. And how do you live forever? By leaving things of substance, leaving artwork, leaving literature, leaving just art, any kind of art, music, whatever. That's how you live forever. And so we understand that the white man, he plays this magic game every day because you live on Washington Street and you walk down Fulton Street and you come down Monroe Street and you come down Madison Street and you go down Jefferson Street. And these are all names of people who every time I say their name, they live forever. Okay? And so as Africans, we have to understand that. We have to, take that into consideration. What is this all for? It is for the continuation of life, for the circle of life, so that you get to come back. So if you get to come back, that means that you have to establish something in this reality so that when you leave and you come back, it's a little bit better for you. Okay? So we've forgotten that our children, people make children now so they could be a football player so they could get a good house. No. You make children so that you educate them to be good people so that when they have you could get to come back and they establish another, a better lifestyle for you, okay? A better community. And so it's real important that people, I'm not saying these traditions are for everybody, but in short, this is the true religion of the black man. And I can't say nothing any more truer than that. This is how your ancestors lived. Okay? Your ancestors, before they were brought here on a ship, they came from some part of Central or West Africa, and this is the way that they lived. And so you're even here because of the work that they put in ethereally so that you could be here today. And so now it's up to you to now go back and confiscate and grasp hold on those traditions so that those people that set this reality for you here, so that they get to come back to a better reality. Okay? And so it's really important for us to understand that the white man uses magic on you every day. Every day he's using his magic on you. His technology, the names of the construction of his cities, because ain't none of them streets, they didn't just name them streets Blue Ivy, like Jay-Z named his daughter like an idiot, Blue Ivy. What does that mean? That means nothing. That has no bearing. He gave his daughter a name that does not profess who she is or what she will be or what she came to do. Okay? Or he didn't give his daughter his mother's name so his mother could live on for another 100 years. No, he didn't do that. He gave her some stupid name. The white man don't name his streets after stupid names. He don't name his street Blue Ivy Street. He names the streets after people who he felt are influential and need to be revered and venerated for the rest of their days. Okay? So that we walk, like I said, on Fulton Street, Washington Avenue, Monroe Street, Myrtle Avenue. These are all names of white men that had some type of impact on white society, that they decided they was going to name these streets after these men. Okay? That's magic right there. Because every time I say them old white men's names, I lift those old white men up. They don't die into oblivion. Okay? And so we have to really, really, really examine how this magic is being used against us. Because what is magic? We talk about magic as a spell. And a spell has been put over our people. A spell to believe that Jesus is their Lord and Savior. A spell to believe that their hair should be long like the white woman, when that's not what kind of species you are. A spell to believe that we shouldn't trust each other, so that we should kill each other and shoot each other down in the street for a $5 piece of crack. A spell to have us necessarily thinking that the white man is our friend, so that we got black men marrying white women and letting their money go to those white women, or now black women now wanting to be with white men. This is magic they put on you, because that's a spell. Because you can't possibly tell me that any of that behavior is natural, okay? It's not natural for us to necessarily aspire to be like white people. We are nothing like them. So that's like a Doberman Pinscher wanting to be like a poodle. Doberman Pinscher don't do what poodles do. He's built for a specific purpose. The way he's built, how he's built, how his body, his lifespan, everything is made for him to do, to carry out a specific duty, right? And so for us to try to be like a poodle, we're wasting our time. You feel me? Because we ain't never gonna have a curly coat and be able to get trimmed. That's not how the Doberman looks. And so we have to acknowledge that there are other forces besides Jesus Christ or Allah, these absentee landlords that we have invested in. You're worried about what Allah is going to say, but he don't do nothing for you on a day-to-day basis. Feel me? The one thing I can say about my deities is that I interact with them. I go and I get a divination and they tell me something. Then I go to a drumming, and at the drumming somebody gets possessed and they don't know me from a hole in the wall, and they're going to tell me about things that only me and God know. That is evidence that my God is real and interacts with me. I don't have to go see him on Sunday and have some other man tell me how I shouldn't steal, meanwhile he's stealing the money out the plate. You understand? Like, these are hypocrisies that we fall for because we're under a spell. Because we don't want to acknowledge when somebody put us under a spell. You dig? And so it's important for us to first acknowledge the elephant in the room. Once you acknowledge the elephant in the room, then you can acknowledge the fact that that elephant is shitting, and you need to get the hell out that room. You dig? And so we've been put under a spell by this magic to have us be passive, have us, waiting for Jesus to come back, waiting for Allah to, judge us so we can get our 99 virgins and paradise. That shit is bullshit. I ain't with that pie in the sky shit. The pie in the sky comes down when it's in my children. And if my children are good, and I get to come back, and they make more children, and then I come back again and bring them back, and it's a constant cycle. Okay? And so that's why the white man hates us, because he can't produce anymore. Because for all his efforts, he can't bring another generation in to enjoy the spoils of his war. Okay? So this is the time, 2014, man. Black people better look around. Jesus ain't doing a damn thing for you. Or real talk. Hello?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Nah, man, I'm just, that's just, indigenous tradition is the true religion of the black man. Okay? It's the true religion of the black man. You can look at, we can go over these things over and over again. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Jeffries Dale, all told you about the three major religions and how those religions refer to you, and they don't. These are political ideologies that are used to keep you paying your taxes and be staying in line. That is not our tradition. That is not how we perceive God. We perceive God in the tree outside in front of us. But we pray to it that it don't get struck by lightning and fall on our house. But we pray for it to produce fruit so that when we're hungry, we can go out there and pick fruit from the tree. And we pray for it to produce shade so that when the sun is too hot, we have something on to necessarily keep us cool. You dig? This is the God that I know. I don't know, and I literally, like I said, I have not worked. And this is real rap. This is fact, as the young boys say. I have not worked a 9-to-5 job in more than 10 years. Okay? And I do not rob people. Then nobody came to my house and knocked on my door, and I brought them in for a reading, and I charged them $100, and when they came in, their issue wasn't taken care of, and I sent them on their way. I don't live like that. And so my deities make sure that I eat every day, to make sure I got a roof over my head, and they make sure that I have enough to get to the next person to help that person. Okay? That's the God that I know. I don't look for Jesus, I don't look for Allah, and I don't look for Jehovah. I'm looking for deities that interact with me, that tell me what my next move is, that tell me how to fix my personality, that tell me to give me a heads up if a child is coming or if a child is leaving. They give me that heads up. And so it is unfortunate that the average black man and black woman do not have a reference to any of this of which I talk about. And that's a part of the spell of the white man's magic. He put a spell on you. He got you looking around and you can't see the forest, the trees from the forest. And so literally we there's nowhere in the world as an ethnic group that we will necessarily prosper if we do not fall under the umbrella of the same God. That is a fact. The Jew is the Jew because the Jew got together and decided that the 12 tribes was going to come together and they was going to all believe in this one God. And so they had many gods before that, but they agreed on Jehovah as their God. And that was how they were able to unify themselves and be a priest. Okay? The Arab it has a collectiveness because he is all of them believe in Allah. And he might have different conversations about what Allah says about women and this and that, but they all believe in Allah. The Chinese comes here, you know why? He's able to necessarily stay together because they all believe in Buddha. They all believe in Quan Li and the concept of the lotus flower and all of these things. They believe that. And so they have a common belief, and so they have a common morality, and so they will necessarily fight for each other because they all believe that they're going in the same place. We have a problem because we got the brothers over here talking about they Muslim, and how I should necessarily put some red dye in my beard to be like an Arab. Nah, son. That's not really what it's about. Then you got the other ones over here talking about I should give half my tithings to Jesus and love Jesus and be like Jesus. So I should necessarily wait to be crucified on a cross and have somebody stick some nails in my hands and put a crown of thorns in my head. That ain't it. Okay? And then they got the brothers down there and they talking about, oh, they going to be Israelites. None of that stuff came with you as an African on that boat. None of it. Let's be clear. You check the African burial grounds, there wasn't nobody carrying no Bibles. There wasn't nobody carrying no goddamn Star of David. Africans brought they brought their deities with them. Okay? But that was what we was doing before. And if you believe that the three major religions are somehow we've lost faith in all of them, you're sadly mistaken. Because if that's the case, then that means you're doomed, because that means you are already a savage and you will continue to be a savage. My deities tell me that on the day that I get initiated, I get to be the king. I am the king that day. And the people will come and they will serve food to me and they will dress me up as a king and they will come and they will bring gifts and they will treat me as a king and they will tell me my self-worth. Okay? No other tradition offers that. And when you want to talk about religion, my religion is the only one that honors the mother. It says mother is God first. Okay? Because all the other traditions tell you about Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. What happened to the woman? My tradition tells me that it was a woman who gave birth to me, and that's why I made my indictment of the way that I did about the black woman, because she is God. And so if you ain't shit, then your children ain't going to be shit. Okay? And so we have to necessarily get our women to understand. That's what the whole, when the Nation of Islam be talking about is the woman, absolutely it's the woman. And so she needs to necessarily, only she can groom soldiers. Because in every other society, it is the woman that puts the wreath around her son's neck and tells him to go to war for the family. Okay? But the black woman is the one that tells the young black man that he's supposed to respect this cracker pig that's going to stick a nightstick up his ass. She tells him that. And so you have to find a tradition that honors mother and makes her deal with being a mother. Okay? What does that mean? That means that as a mother, you have to understand that there's a point at some time when you have to allow your son to be a man. And you got to tell him, all right, son, I think you got to pick up your sword and go fight for what you believe. Okay? And that's what the black woman has not been able to do because of that Willie Lynch syndrome. She's the one telling you to turn the other cheek and let the white man do this to you. And so these are the traditions of the black man. This is why the black magic is very important. Okay? Don't believe the serpent in the rainbow. When you're talking about voodoo and all of that nonsense that black people have bought into, because that is what's keeping you down. That's what keeps you spending your money on Steve Harvey suits to go to the mega church to see Creflo Dollar. You did? That's what necessarily keeps the sisters buying weave so they can show up at the mega church. You dig what I'm saying? And this is a problem. And so until we as a people come under the umbrella of one consciousness of God, because how are we going to be a people and everybody thinks that they're going someplace different? How that going to work? How does that work when, oh yeah, well I'm going to be, I'm Muslim, and so I don't believe in the same God as you. So when we in the trenches and you die, how am I going to pray for you? Because you don't even believe that you're going the same place I'm going. That's a problem. And no other ethnic group has that issue. White people might have it, but let's not get it twisted. White people are separated, and we look at white people as a whole. Oh, white people. No, there's Protestants, there's Presbyterians, there's Catholics, there's Roman Catholics, there's Jews. White people are real clear about the lines of who they are. You dig? And so we need to be clear about who we are. And so it takes us to understand that this is the way that there are rituals that we perform. When our children are born, we lift them up to the sun so that the sun can give them the life force, that vitamin D, so that they can get that energy from the sun and be well and not have ailments in their immune system. You dig what I'm saying? These are things that Africans do. We have all of the drugs that they sell you on the television today. There's a herb. They got those drugs from an herb that somebody in the bush knows when you should eat that, so you can get rid of whatever symptoms that you have, so you can heal yourself. Okay, but we'll buy it from a white man because the white man will never tell no lies. Okay? He don't tell us no lies. He always going to tell us the truth. And so a lot of the problem is that we have black people who they could wear the afro and they could wear the kente cloth and talk over that, but there's really a little white man in their head telling them what to do. You dig? And so they're too smart to kill chickens. Oh no, we don't need to kill chickens. We passed that. But you think the white man ain't killing chickens. No, the white man in advance to killing little kids. All them kids that you find out that's missing all over the country, where them kids go? We have a system that has facial recognition. Where the hell did them kids go? Please tell me that, y'all. They got a system that can recognize your face and figure out who you are. But there's millions of kids missing all across the city. Where do kids go? They just went to another city and started and got a new name and a new social security. You know how hard it is to do that shit? Where them children went? No, them children they are victims of rituals that white men perform.
And they had the video on. Yeah, they had the video with the Jew who was on a conservative radio with the white. I think it's like a white neo-Nazi. He was talking about the rituals that they were performing in the basements of the synagogue, Passover rituals where they're taking these children that they're kidnapping and draining them, ritualizing them, sacrificing them, draining their blood. And he says we just take them to our slaughterhouses and grind them up and feed them to you in the chicken and the sausages and the burgers. Henceforth, McDonald's, the rituals, yes, that is online. That is on the internet. And henceforth, the discovery of human meat inside of McDonald's, that's why Russia banned it.
Absolutely.
That's why other nationalities were banning the sale of meat from America, certain meat products in their country, because it has human remains and stuff like that inside of the meat. So the Jew was like, yeah, we got grind houses. We grind them children up. You'll never know who they are.
This is my point. And people get numb to this conversation. So just saying that, there've been kids missing since before I was born. Okay, and that happened in the late '60s and early '70s. That's when it started really becoming an epidemic, where children are just being lost. And like I said, you don't show up.
It stepped up. Yeah, it stepped up. Last year, I think they said they was missing like a horrendous number. I don't want to quote it and be wrong, family, but it was either like 60,000 or 200,000. Any which way, that number is outlandish. And these are grown-ass children, or should I say mid-age adults, not babies.
Right, and I want to send a condolence. I want to send a condolence to the family of my brother Clico.
Indeed.
I haven't spoken to him in full detail, so I don't want to share all of the information and be incorrect. But I believe one of his family members, I believe a cousin of his or a niece of his, may have lost her life. She was also considered missing. This was this weekend and whatnot. So this shit is real. This is not, you know what I mean? Like, this is reality. This is what's going on. And I'm in Atlanta, and it brings to memory about the Atlanta child murders, the rituals that were taking place in this part of town in the 80s I'm saying that it was the white supremacists. I'm saying that it was, like we're saying, that the numbers jumped up post-integration. I'm saying that, you know what I mean? I'm saying it was those rednecks that were still in Atlanta in the Georgia area who were doing rituals in Stone Mountain and other places and stuff like that. And they framed the brother for the murders. I read the book and I saw some of the specials that they had on TV. He ain't do all of that.
I know somebody down there that escaped from it. It was right on Moreland Avenue, right in the parking lot behind where our people stayed. And, my homie said that he escaped it. They grabbed his cousin and they missed him. They tried to get him and he booked on them. But that's real. You know what I'm saying? He was like, they was snatching him up. You ain't seen him no more. Then they threw it on homie as a scapegoat. But these things take place. They definitely happen. We need a level of protection. That's what I'm saying. That, can you give your information out? Their family don't want to get into this level of protection, want to get into this magic. You know what I'm saying? As well as I know that there are other things that people be talking about, like, how the Haitians be getting their bulletproof packs together and what have you. You know what I'm saying? We knew our brother Babyface. He implemented some form of magic where the police couldn't see him. He was invisible. These are the tools that we need in these particular times of war when they're creating super soldiers. When are we going to take this technology, this ancient African technology, and utilize it to create our own super soldiers? You know what I'm saying? So we could do marvelous feats and put courage back in the hearts of the people when they see us dealing with these people, you know what I'm saying, who they think are invincible.
Well, I'm in the process right now of putting this book together. I'm on like the second draft. And the book is about spiritualism. Okay, and spiritualism is the median foundation that gives one reference to all of the other indigenous philosophies. Okay, and the spiritualism is important because it allows you to see from a present day experience how spirit is relative and how it interacts with you. Okay, and so I'm putting that together because spiritualism is the first thing that, if you don't know anything about any of these things, immerse yourself in spiritualism first, because spiritualism is not based on initiation right. It's based on understanding and exercise in dealing with certain elements such as water, fire, incense, and prayer and sound. And so dealing with that first gives one and opens your eyes so that you may be able to actually have a good spiritual sight so that you'll be able to necessarily pick out the charlatan from the real shaman. Okay? Because I don't want to send people, because understand that there are people who take advantage, like anything. They see people have a need and they will take advantage of that need. And so without the spiritualism, you won't have a discernment about yourself in order to actually find the person that will help lead you to the path to finding how one can live in accordance with his ancestors. You dig? And so it's important. I'm trying to put this book out because literally, like, there's people that email me and stuff like that, and they have to really understand and deal and cope with the fact that I'm not a novelty. I don't get on the phone and do readings. I'm not Miss Cleo. I really take this shit very seriously. This was handed down to me from generations. My grandmother's a priest, my mother's a priest, my uncles and my aunt. My uncle spent his time to actually cultivate me to be the way that I am today. And so I'm not a novelty. This is not I'm not that dude that gets on the Oprah show or whatever shows and starts talking and pulling people out. This is not that kind of novelty. And so what happens is I can't facilitate for everyone because as of right now, I don't have the faculties to do that. But if I was able to necessarily be on a farm like I would like to be and have a retreat center where people could come and stay for a retreat and get the conversation and really groom people, then it would be a different thing. I don't have those facilities as of right now. So the only other way for me to reach people is for me to put this book together. And because I'm so adamant about it, I'm taking my time. I'm not just slapping it together so that I can make a couple of hours. You understand what I'm saying? I take this thing very seriously because as far as I understand, this is the only feasible medication that we as a people, that I could offer to people, you know, as an ethnic group. And so I don't have it because I can't, you know, people be calling me from different places and they far off, and I'm like, I feel for you, but I can't. It would be counterproductive for me to tell you to pay for a plane ticket for me to come out there for me to give you a $20 reading. Like, that's just stupid. You understand? Then I don't do readings over the phone because I'm not that. You know, people be like, oh, well, I'll send you the money, but it's not. I need to look in your eyes. I need to feel your aura so that I can give you the best conversation that you can get to help you navigate through some of the things, the obstacles in your life. Okay? And it's not, because these traditions have not been pervasive in the United States, but they've only been here for 60 years, there isn't a real organized feed that I can say, oh, we'll go over here and these people are going to take care of you, because we don't even have churches. You understand? So it's very, very, very unfortunate, but the people are going to have to work with me because I'm not, like I said, this is not a traveling circus. Okay?
Right.
Hello? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm here, brother.
That's just my, that's what I can offer as of right now.
Right.
These people that email me right now, and I don't get to them because I can't do anything for you. I can't facilitate anything for you because you want me to come and give you a reading over the phone. I'm not fitting to do that because I'm not a Miss Cleo kind of dude. I'm not going to take your money and just tell you any old thing. And then, you understand, like, that's not what I do. And it becomes even more severe because, like I said, last weekend I literally initiated my first priest. Well, I actually initiated a priest, which is a very big deal. Some people, they do it on a regular. For me, it's a very big deal. And so I take this thing very seriously because I have somebody's life in my hands, or I have the person's, the crossroads in their life in my hands, that they can now just decide to make a decision in which direction that they want to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So is there any information of yours that you would like to share if the listeners want to get in contact with you or come and see you?
As of right now, like I'm literally in a space where I can't really facilitate for people the way I would like to, because like I said, I don't have the facilities. I'm literally a preacher with no church. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to make it without taking advantage of anyone. I'm trying to make it so that I can put something together so that the people will have a place to come. Okay? So they just got to be real patient with me right now as I put this book together. So when I put this book together, it will be for the person that is transported someplace far so that they will be able to establish a ritual exercise for themselves to actually exercise their spirituality. Right?
Right.
And that's what I feel is more important. Like I come and chop it up with y'all because I know that this is a solid venue. I know that y'all not, like when I'm not listening to y'all, I know y'all ain't sitting there talking about, there's some people that are in the conscious community that are just there as an advocate, a devil's advocate all the time, right? And so they might have you come talk about the spirituality, but they don't really believe in it. And when you leave, they're going to have, ulterior things to say about it. I'm not into that. I'm not into the debates. You're not going to see me debating Israelites, and you're not going to see me debating Muslims. I'm not into that. I'm doing what I'm doing, which is I'm doing the work, period. I do the work on a very intimate level, one person at a time, because I'm not trying to water it down. I'm going to give, affect each person as I affect them. And then there's other things, like the sisters, they be coming with ulterior motives. They want to, they come and they showing, they got their little, they got the brassiere boosted up, and they were like, yeah, I'm looking for the conscious brother, and I ain't with all of that. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, I got a mission that I am very clear about, okay? And if it doesn't affect the overall group, I'll deal with one person at a time. You know what I'm saying? That's my highway to heaven. And so, literally, like I said, I'm in the midst of trying to put this book together. I'm going over it more than once so that the information that I give you is irrefutable. You don't have to look it up. You don't got to Google it. It will be stuff that resonates with people, stuff that they will be able to actually see evidence of in their lives. Okay? Because, unfortunately, these traditions are ravaged with a bunch of, snakes and oil salesmen. They're going to come through and try to sell you all this. Give me this money and I'm going to make all your problems go away. That's not what this is about. This is a very intimate self-evaluation type of philosophy. I'm going to show you what you're made of, and this is what the deities say about you, and how you can see the folly in your ways and how you can correct them
and everything ain't for everybody. So it's not like one person I'm going to be like, oh, you need to stop selling drugs. It might be somebody that that's their way of lifestyle, and that works for them. And I can't necessarily deny them their destiny. I have to tell them the best way to go about their destiny. And so it becomes very intricate of how you deal with this, because this is not a broad stroke philosophy. It is specific to the individual. Okay? So,
right. Hold on 1 second, brother. Family, if you want to continue with us, you got to call in 347-637-2135, 347-637-2135. All right, family? You want to continue with us past the live stream, 3 minutes remaining. You need to call in now. Please continue.
Well, you can take some of the calls. I know the people got something to ask or say, or I wasn't clear on something. You know what I mean? Right. I don't want to keep rambling on. I want to hear what the feedback is. You feel me?
Okay. All right, let's go to the phone lines. All right. I want to go to the first caller. Caller from the 347-393. 347-393. Caller, peace.
Peace. This is Brother Ty. I was definitely listening. Peace to the host. I definitely caught a couple of jewels. I was appreciating the information I definitely wasn't familiar with, and I'm interested in getting that book when the brother is finished with it. I'll be interested in reading it. What I can reiterate from what was being spoken about from earlier was about the computers and the attachments and how it desensitizes people and it makes us emotionless. And when y'all were talking about Facebook and the destruction of the babies and part of what I see from all these attachments is you being dehumanized and you not having no emotional feelings anymore. And it's like actually making people like they're not even human anymore. So I find that very interesting, and what y'all was speaking on was right on the money.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's a real observation right there, because they are turning into androids.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see somebody walking down the street, and they'd be paying attention to their phone, like it's an attachment of their body, like it's connected to them in another way. Very interesting. They used to have a show called Sliders, and in this particular show, they used to show alternative realities, alternative universes, like things that could possibly happen. And then one of the shows, they had them in a virtual world. They used to walk around with a virtual world over their eyes. It was like everybody was on a drug, and the virtual world was the thing they would put over their eyes. It was with a helmet on it. And very interesting, it's the same thing without the helmet. You see people walking around, and they're totally detached and unaware.
I remember that show.
Right. And, I study internal martial arts, and one of the main ways that power is utilized is by your awareness and your focus. What you put your awareness on, you give power to. So you not only just detach from yourself, you're also giving power to something. And I want the audience to be very aware of that. You're giving power to something when you separate from yourself.
That's real talk. That's real talk. No, I mean, that's real talk.
Definitely interested in getting that book, and maybe we get to know, we can have to sit down and all that, because we definitely could do some building.
Yeah. When I get to the town, I'm gonna definitely link it up where you brothers can meet, because Oba, this brother has a wonderful system dealing with internal martial arts, dealing with cultivating the breathing, and I know that as a priest, you can definitely maximize your work with the increase in intention and focus by way of breath. Building of the will, strengthening that mind to make your communication even that much more stronger. And just bringing the family together that understands the importance of getting back to nature, so we can practice these arts.
Some of what I do is what you say, and it's almost like I naturally do it. Like there's a particular exercise that I was taught where you train when you build up energy from the tree. Like I actually boxed the tree as if it was a punching bag, but the way I hit it and I pressed the tree, I hit it with an open palm. But you'll become just as strong as a tree. And I've heard people say, he's walking with spirits. The tree spirits are with him. And I feel that when you tap into nature and things like that, you have a lot more with you than what you can see with your eye. That's definitely true. That's very interesting,
Certainly. I mean, but the fact is that, when you're dealing with the natural is reciprocal. And all of this technological stuff is not reciprocal because it's plastic. It does not have a soul. And so it has nothing to give back to you that you give it. Okay? So the person that's steadily in their Instagram or on their iPhone or on Facebook on their iPhone and they're constantly looking at it, they're, like you said, they're giving this edifice energy, but they're not receiving anything back from them. And so it's literally draining, it's sucking them. So it is their plug. It's the plug that they put in the back of your head in the Matrix. As you're giving up your dreams and all of that. You dig? And so it's important that you understand that what you're doing is a form of power because power is about the trees. It's about the
I gotta play devil's advocate again. Now, if we're talking about the European created this module as a form of magic, and we do understand that there's technically nothing there, you're scrying in pure darkness, pure blackness. You know what I'm saying? And if dudes are mentally shooting mental darts and what have you towards shorties, and shorties is catching the spirit and they inboxing and calling and making physical connections and things of that nature, you don't think that the internet or cyberspace is not a place where magic can take place as well? Because a lot of what I see, are sigils in disguise of companies' names and things, and it taps a lot of energy. And like the brother said, the energy is going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I've done things on the internet that have materialized immediately because I'm utilizing the internet, and I'm looking at it as a black surface. Just like somebody might talk about, talking directly into water and using that as a medium. What about that carbon in that cyberspace?
Well, see, the thing is, the internet, let's start off with the fact that, we also conscious black power shit. Black man invented the internet. So that it's our paradigm, yes. But the way that the rivers are aimed at this one ocean. And so when I say that there's nothing reciprocal, meaning that you're spending this energy that's going into this phone and you're putting this attention on it, and on the other end somebody else is receiving it and they're not giving you anything. There's nothing that really, like when you look at Instagram and you look at pictures, okay, it's nice, but what does it do? It doesn't stimulate you. You feel me? So it becomes to the point where you start scrolling through the pictures and you're only looking for something that's going to shock and awe you, okay? Because it doesn't have anything it doesn't feed, it doesn't stimulate your mind. It's not like you get off of Instagram and you're like, you know what, let me paint something real quick. No, it literally is taking from you all the time. And so when dealing with, like the brother's talking about, he necessarily boxes with the tree is still giving him energy. When he's going at the tree, when he puts his palm on it, the tree is resonating through him. And so he gets something.
We connect with the tree.
Right, he connects with the tree. The tree is communicating to him. The tree is cleaning him. Okay? This box right here, it does not do that. It just sucks. Okay? It takes from you so that you feel, at the end of the day, you feel exhausted. Like everybody be like, oh, turn up. They go to the club and they turn up. And then they get all drunk and they all high, could be beat up so that they can get up in the morning to go to work. So they don't even, it's not even like the turn up was like you cut a rug and you felt good and, like, that shit powers you up to go back to the plantation. No, you leave the fucking club more exhausted than you did when you went in it. Okay? That's a bad look. You're supposed to go and party and get charged up and be able to fight the next day. Like, oh, yeah, man, I went to the club. I had a ball last night. I'm good. Same with sex. Even though you're expelling something, you're still supposed to feel good. You're supposed to have a pep in your step after you knock a shorty down. You're not supposed to feel like, yeah, I feel like I just, sucked all of the energy sucked out of me. No, that's a bad thing. That means you're dealing with a vampire, okay? Because it's supposed to be reciprocal. And so this technological age or these substances, these are not, they're just parasites. They're not a fluid, exchange.
If you look at the show Star Trek, and they have the cyborg, the half human, the dehumanized human, all of them have no emotions. And that's really when they split you enough and you become divided enough, you become emotionless. You split in so many compartments. You have so many shows. We have so many different attachments, and then they keep it coming. They keep your awareness jumping from this to this, and they keep you in a kind of the state. They have children in that state a lot, constantly jumping from this to this, that to that, this toy, that toy. Can never really sit still. Fidgety mind. It's called the monkey mind.
Right, that's a true story. That's the monkey mind, the haunted mind.
And when you jumping from these states to state, you're never really keeping your focus, and you divided and split in so many ways. Your power is split in so many ways because we all have natural power, so they're splitting our power up. And and I think it has something to do with whatever kind of intent that they're using on that magic by splitting the power up so well. And black people have a specific kind of melanin, a specific kind of energy, and they know about us. They study us, and they're utilizing that against us. This is what I'm witnessing universally, just what I could see. Like, within my own, I could see certain things, how it's manifested, just from myself. So I recognize that that's what's going on.
True. Facts. When I do finish the book, I'm definitely, y'all gonna get the exclusive. I'm gonna come and holler at y'all first before I necessarily release it. Feel me?
That happens.
Yeah. And
greatly appreciate it.
No, because y'all the only platform that's speaking for a generation of intellectuals, of autocratic intellectuals. People that didn't have to go and spend their money at the university, and that's no pun to anybody that did. You understand? That's real talk. I'm gonna drop a jewel on you real quick. We're in the 90s, right? Now y'all realize that college at this point is a hustle, right? It's a way for them to get money from out of black people. You understand that, right?
Right.
So when did they start promoting this? In the 90s movies. I was watching Boys in the Hood the other day, and so they'd be like, hey, you got to get an education. Get an education. They're taking the SATs, and no. Everybody's all smart and taking the tests and all of that. Because they were selling this idea of getting these degrees that black people can't use. I know a bunch of women that got PhDs that don't make more than $50,000 a year. Okay? But they spent $200,000 on school fees, okay? And so they were literally selling this to us in the 90s. Yeah, go to school. So you have from School Days, The Boys in the Hood, right? Poetic Justice. These were the shows, the movies that they were trying to tell us, like, yeah, you could be a hood bugger or you could go to school.
Hold on, I learned in a different world.
A different world. Higher learning. All of a sudden they came out with all these movies with black people going to college.
Minister and Boys in the Hood, the underlying thing was they was going to college.
Absolutely.
The School Days of Spike Lee.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They sold this to us.
So that the generation, our generation, all of the young women was like, I'm going to Spelman, I'm going to Morehouse, right? They was going to these schools, and they got these degrees, but them just don't work nowhere. Okay? So now they selling you to college online. Sign up online. They got Master P and the Sun telling you to sign up for this college that probably don't have no accreditation, that you ain't gonna get no, credit for, and you're gonna be in debt. Okay, and so this is we gotta be pay attention to the signs and things that they out there that they import in them. You feel me?
Absolutely. And at times, I remember Delbert Blair saying that he had to unlearn things that he learned in school.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is not useful, or it's trick knowledge that could hurt you by absorbed in a certain way. So you have to unremember. You got to unlearn it. You take it just and then throw away. Like some throwaway shoes, throwaway food or something. You can't take it that serious.
But that's important for getting involved in these traditions, that you got to unlearn yourself from the concepts of good and bad and good and evil and all of that. Because a lot of that stuff that's been fed to you was fed to you to keep you away from certain things. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important that you come to this new philosophy without any opinion or philosophy. You have to accept it as it is and really understand it. Okay? So that, like I said, they're desensitizing you by showing you the dude walking into the grocery store and put the hammer to his man. You feel me?
Yeah.
I was like, I looked at that and I'm like, that was mad ruthless. Like, how you did that? How you plucked your homie like that, bro? That the other homies walked over him. You feel me?
That shows our desensitization. Because when you don't feel no way about that, that shows that you don't really have a heart. And if your heart is not open like that, that means that you're dead. You don't really have no feelings. You're not feeling nothing.
I ain't see a lot of commentary on that at all. Like, that didn't even trend. And I seen LOLs attached to it and everything.
Yeah.
People was
that's Call of Duty too. That's all these games where the violence is occurring and killing people, and it's like nothing. So, and you become desensitized by doing that too. Playing the game, you're shooting each other all the time, and that's a certain way of training the mind. So, and all of that's energy. It's crazy. It's like
in the store flinched. Not one of them was like, "Oh shit, son, you wild and chill," or went over there to go check on homeboy, like, "Yo, son, you good?" Like, you call the ambulance for him, son. Like, "Oh, son, why you shot him like that?" You feel me? Nobody said nothing. They just stepped over son like he was a dead dog. Like, what?
Keep in mind, we talking about a generation, like Brother Tyler said, from when they were like 2 and 3 years old in a virtual reality. You know what I mean? Because remember, they're not playing 8-bit video games. Like, we was playing Duck Hunt and Gyro and all of that other stuff, and Super Mario Brothers, the original Super Mario Brothers. Right. These dudes are playing Call of Duty, and they're like Halo, and they was playing Grand Theft Auto from the beginning, all the way up to Part 5. So they've been desensitized, and they've been somewhat unplugged from reality because of because they came up in that generation, that video game generation. Like, you could go online and link up with dudes like globally and go on a murder spree on some of these games.
Yeah.
And it's so the technology has advanced so much. It's not even, it's beyond 64 bits. I don't even know what kind of bits it's in right now. So I'm old school.
And Oculus is coming where they could put themselves in virtual reality and literally, you know what I'm saying, be clipping dudes. And we all know that these are the same people that they recruit that are advanced in these games to play the simulators that fly these planes and that's dropping these drones in these different countries.
Sure.
I'm at a point where, a nigga might be nice on the console and be dropping drones and don't even know it at this point.
Right. Right.
So,
yeah, he would be on nights with the console, and he don't even know that the buttons he pressing, he's dropping missiles out of a drone right now. You're absolutely
right. He's dropping bombs on ISIS in the mountain in Iraq.
On ISIS. That's real talk. And that's crazy because, like you said, that they're in a fourth dimensional game now. It's not even 3 dimensions. It's 4 dimensions in that game, right? Because they can hear each other. So
it's very addictive. You know, you could be stuck playing that for hours, man. You could just forget about your job. You could forget to feed your kid. You would be playing that game for hours. I mean, it's not even just like people play it religiously. I mean, every time a new one comes out, you just people standing in front of the store waiting like it's Jordan. It's ridiculous.
God, on 125th Street, the only place the Negroes spend the night outside, they don't even do that for the Apollo. They don't even spend the night outside to get tickets for the New Edition reunion. It's GameStop and it's House of Hoops, Foot Locker. Facts.
Yeah, Foot Locker and GameStop.
And when the Yeezys dropped this summer, I don't even, like, they was like pink and black, and the shit was corny to me. Not only was it House of Hoops, but they had 6 stores where grown men and other people sleeping out. They had beach chairs, and they had police protection up and down 100. I'm talking about paddy wagons with barricades to protect these Negroes so they wouldn't get stuck up in these streets while they spent the night waiting for some goddamn sneakers to come out.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. That shit is crazy.
And that goes to show the power of economics.
That's convenience. That's called useless eating. Yo, I said on the show, I gave my Reeboks that I was wearing a birthday party a few weeks ago because I was wearing them shits for 1 year. Okay? I got 2 pairs. I had 2 pairs, and I got 3 pairs of sneakers to my name. Thank God. But I come from the era, like Oba said, where material was everything to me. Boosting, I gave up my whole youth going in and out of jail being a booster so I could look fly and I could be fresh for the females and all of that and impress people and style and stunt on niggas who was trying to catch up to me.
Right.
I sacrificed my childhood. I went to jail at 16. I was on Rikers Island in C-74 watching people get staples in their head at 16. I was traumatizing for 6 months.
Right.
Because I wanted to be I wanted to be down. So nobody can tell me about materialism. Nobody can tell me about sacrifice. I don't want to hear none of that. You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean anything to me right now because I know I can make a white T-shirt look fly. It's just, you don't make the clothes don't make the man. So I can wear a pair of sneakers for 1 year. I got talked about. You know what I'm saying? People that was close to me clowned on me. Not you, Blue. You safe. You know?
Right.
Like, they don't understand. They don't get it because they and you'll see it. You'll see how much this material consumerism world has got them encapsulated.
But the brother's definitely right. It's a spell on the people. Definitely.
And it was around me, like I said, they was indoctrinated with that by their mothers. Their mothers imparted it to them, and they become like the voice and the beacon in the hood to be like, oh, son, your sneakers can't be 2 months old. You know what I'm saying? That ain't woe. That's not Ralph. You got to have these new joints. You know, whatever it takes. By any means, you got to have these new joints. You know, what do people always say about Polite? Oh, that's the dude that wears the phone posits. Why they don't talk about the books? Why they don't talk about the information? Why is it always, oh, he's the nigga that wears the phone posits?
Or the products.
These sneakers have, Oh, yeah, now it's the products.
Right, see, that's what I'm saying. You have to
pay more attention to your feet and then pay attention to what you got upstairs in your brain. So the youth of today will assess you from the bottom up.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's why we have to define what is fly. We have to define that. We have to redefine what is valuable to us. Like, you know what? Phone posits, really, that was a waste of money.
Not for nothing. I like the brother polite. Like, I really appreciate, you know what I'm saying, what he does. But I'm not sitting to necessarily please these Negroes. Like, nah, son. I'm going to do what I do, but it's going to be with a value that I didn't necessarily extend myself to necessarily get that. I need shoes so that I don't step on glass and things like that when I'm walking on concrete. That's clear. Fuck that. That's the only reason why I need shoes. For them to be super duper clean, that really ain't important. Because you know what? I've been around white folks that had the dirtiest shoes on, and they could swipe a card and $100,000 come out that motherfucker. You feel me? And so I understand the true meaning of value and what is valuable. Phone posits don't make me valuable. I'm going to spend $300 on a pair of sneakers? You must be kidding me. That's $300 that I could, you know what? And let me be clear. I smoke bud damn near every day. That's how I buy black. I spend my money with a young nigga from the street that sell weed because he's black. I didn't buy that shit from the white boy. You dig what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to spend $300 with a company that cost them niggas $3 to make that fucking sneaker, and y'all going to sell that shit to me like some magic beans. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not spending that kind of money on them sneakers. You know why? Because that shit don't make me jump higher. It don't make me run faster. It don't make me invisible from the police. You understand? It has to have a function. And so fashion ain't my passion no more. Like if I got to go somewhere and look decent, I'm going to put on some clothes and look decent. Absolutely. But for me
the mentality of the youth that created these cultures and these styles, you know, like I was saying earlier, the lowlifes who created polo culture are the ones that are pioneers of what we see now in fashion, because we're not emulating the Zeus suits, and we're not emulating what niggas was wearing in the 70s. That's not what we see taking place with the Gucci, Louis, Versace phase. That was a engram that the brothers who was the boosters. Not even the drug dealers. It was the boosters first and foremost, because the boosters. But the main idea of the booster was that we wasn't paying for the shit.
This is my point, and that's why I'm saying.
Anti-consumerism. Yeah, look, I gotta hold on. I gotta bring some more callers in real quick. Ty, you can stay on the line. Let me just open up this other caller's line so we can start pushing it forward. Caller from the 845-647. Peace.
Peace and blessings, brothers. I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to us tonight. And you talked about so many things tonight that I can't even begin as a sister to talk about what you brought to us. You talked about brothers being real men. You talked about sisters being real queens. You talked about what the internet is doing to our children. And I just want to say, internet is energy. And we have to understand that, because when we look at the internet, you say, oh, well, it's just the internet. We peek in and we peek out. But when brothers peek in and they look at something that's appeasing to their eyes, that takes them back to a place where they're now going back to an animalistic piece of, view. And so the same thing goes on for the sisters. When they look at something, like they just had this big piece about Idris Elba. He was half naked, you know what I'm saying? And the sisters was like, oh, wow, look at that. It's something like, we have to understand, this is a world where the beast is beating on us 9 times a day. They're beating us all day long. And we are now trying to be mothers, fathers to our children, trying to pay the bills. These are distractions. The real thing that we're supposed to be doing is coming together and realizing that when we come together, there's nothing that can defeat us. Nothing.
That's it.
There's nothing that... Go ahead.
I want to thank you, sister, first of all, for giving us your time and your attention. Okay? And I want to congratulate you on hearing what I said.
that I wasn't necessarily trying to beat up on the sisters, that I'm calling for a wake-up. And not just for the sisters, but for the brothers too, okay? And I appreciate you for giving your time and your attention to listening to what we were saying and not being defensive. Oh, you know, we need to... I'm not pointing any fingers in regards to who's better than or less than. I'm saying that we both need to get our things together. And what you're saying is very true about the energy that brings us into an animalistic, perspective of men just being like dogs. Because the other thing is that young men got to stop that. Half of their conversation can't be about the acquisition of a woman. You understand?
But can I intercede 1 second, brother?
Sure.
And thank you so much for appreciating that. I want to just say this. We forget psychology and we forget physiology. We forget that men are visual. And so, yes, you will always appreciate the woman's body and the things that attract you to that. And women hate to admit this, but we are animalistic in that effect as well. Because when we see a man, it makes us want them as well. But you know what we want more than anything else? We want somebody at the end of the day. See, it's good to see that thing in the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day, we want somebody that says it's going to be all right and know that it's going to be all right. And we haven't had that for a very long time. And let me just address something that you said earlier in your program tonight. You talked about how at a time our women, looked to our men, and then, the system came in and took our women away. Let me tell you something about the women that appreciate feminism. Feminism was a distraction. Just like many of the things of today was a distraction, feminism was a distraction to make us stop wanting to be mothers, stop wanting us to be wives, because it's nothing like a good wife. It's nothing in this world like a good wife.
Yeah, in the words of A.A. Rashid, you a legend. You're a legend. You hear me? On the street.
You're a legend. Hold on. Yeah,
that's real
we
talk.
We got to give you due for that.
You got to get a ball for that. You're a legend. Because the sisters forgot how to be sisters. They forgot what was beautiful about being a woman and what was to be appreciated about that. And the feminism, which was a white woman's machination, took the attention away from the family and put it onto an egotistical concept that black women didn't have to necessarily buy into because they already had the power.
Let me bring you to this one thing, brother, because one thing I want to bring to our people is that television is important. We talk about television, tell lies to our vision, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right? Absolutely. We talk about television, right? But let me tell you something. If we look at programs like Copper, that's a program that's, if you go on TV and you look at it, it talks about the 1800s, right? How the white man treated his white woman. Let me tell you something. Brothers always treated their women good. The white woman was the woman that was oppressed, not us. Feminism was for them, not for me. For me, my man always treated me right. My man always treated me right until the white man said, I'm going to treat your woman better than I treat my woman, so now you got to go get with my woman, Mandingo, because guess what? I'm going to tell you something. My men always treated us good. If you go back into the 1700s and even before then, black women were queens. Even in the 1800s, in this program, Copper, that I'm talking about, you'll see the only black man in the program, Copper, is a doctor. Not no nigga in the street. He's a doctor. And he treats his woman with the utmost respect. And the only women getting mistreated in this program, sir, are the white women. So can't nobody never tell me, Lady Bay, El Bay Shakur, nobody can ever tell me that the black woman was mistreated. We weren't until they taught us that. They taught us that nonsense, and our men and our women fed into it. They fed into it, and that's why we are where we are right now, and that's why we are now allowing our children to get shot down in the street, and nobody jumps up. And when we do jump up, they buck us down with hoses like in the fucking 60s. What is this right now? Why have we not realized that it will take all of us, brothers, all of us, and all I'm saying to you as a mother in truth, I know that you have been oppressed. I know that you feel like nothing, but I promise you there are women right here, right now, that are willing to raise you up if you will only humble yourselves. Not a whole bunch. I ain't saying be nobody's slave. I ain't saying be no hooker's nigga on the side. I'm just saying for the women that will treat you and raise you like the men you're supposed to be, humble yourselves just a little tiny bit to understand we are not the enemy. We are not the enemy. It's women out here that will raise you up and make you be everything you were supposed to be.
Yo,
everything.
She's a legend. Drop a bomb on that. She's a legend. Yo, fuck that. She's a legend, son. Yo, that shit is therapeutic. You understand? The fact that you're saying that, because that gives me hope. Because that lets me know.
Brother, I love you. Do you know what? I ain't never heard you before. And listen, I'm going to tell you, I've been on the lecture circuit for the last 23 years. My oldest child is 31 years old. And I'm going to tell you, I've been on this lecture circuit for a long time, and you will find, if you go into Sarnetta, some of his old CDs, you'll find me. And I'm going to tell you this, I stepped off for a minute. And you know why I stepped off? Because I said, let me just wait for a minute and see if we're going to act like we want to do something. Because you know what? Sometimes the people that come out and speak their minds get tired of speaking their minds when ain't nobody listening. Why am I going to keep talking to a dead-ass wall? I put a post up earlier that said there's an old African proverb that says, you cannot awake a people that are pretending to be asleep. Our people are pretending to be asleep. Them niggas ain't sleep. They ain't sleep at all. They awake and they scared. They got fear in their goddamn womb, and they got fear in their goddamn sperm. They afraid. They are afraid to speak. They are afraid to stand up. That is why we allow people to get shot, and we just stand there and be like, oh, well, we don't know what's happening. You know what's happening. You was a fucking scared person right now.
Absolutely.
And all I'm saying to you, and I don't mean to get fired up, brothers, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to get fired up, because as your mother, as your sister, as your friend, all I'm saying to you, all I'm saying is there are sisters here willing to help you if you would only call on us, because you know what? Even though you think you are oppressed, guess what? All Sarnetta's videos, all blue pill, red and blue, I'm sorry, brothers, all y'all videos showing brothers. Y'all ain't never showing no sisters. The only sister I seen lately was the brothers, what's his name, from Public Enemy, his sister. But guess what? There's sisters out here waiting for you. We waiting for you, and we will do anything in the aid to make sure you have what you need to move forward. As far as education, we got that. As far as information, we got that. And guess what? We got arms, too, because guess what? I pop a nigga head back real quick. Guess what? Guess what? We legal, too. And we legal. And we got license. Because guess what? They gave us that right. They gave us the right to what? Make our arms legal. So all my guns, brother, is legal. So come get one if you need one.
Yeah, you're a legend.
That's right.
You got
I hear that.
And you just necessarily put it down for all of the sisters that's listening. That's the mentality that you're supposed to have in terms of supporting a black man, and nothing short of that right there, because that is true. That is true militancy right there. That's how our mothers are supposed to send us to war. What I was talking about earlier, if mother is God. You know, if mother tells you that this is the wrong way to live, then that's what it is. And when she put that sword in your hand and send you out there to go slay that dragon, then that's what it is. And
can I just say something? Can I say something in regards to that? Because I have to say this. As a sister of 9 brothers, the mother of 5 sons, I'm going to say one thing. When I hear a lot of the young men speak, I'm going to say we got a whole bunch of bitch-ass niggas running around here.
True story.
We got a bunch of wrong, overly emotional boys running around here in men's suits. And I'm going to say that because I'm talking about men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s with their pants hanging down and talking about, hey, girl, can I get at you? All of that, wrong answer. Wrong answer. And I'm going to tell you something. They over-emotional for a good reason. Now, I'm coming at you now as a doctor. Wrong answer, and I'm going to tell you why. These men have not understood. They have not understood. It's nothing wrong with being emotional. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. You can cry. You can express yourself. You can say, hey, this does not make me feel good in any way. But you want to know what doesn't work for me? And I'm going to tell you this as a doctor and as a woman. What doesn't work for me is this over-emotional shit like they can't handle this and they shooting these women in the head and acting out because you don't want to be with them no more. Guess what? People are in your life for sometimes one day, a week, a month, a year, a season. That's what people are there for. Sometimes people are not there for the long run. They're there to teach you a lesson. Learn the lesson.
That's right.
Learn the lesson and move on. Learn the lesson and move on. How many of my brothers listening to me right now have been in a relationship? And that relationship may not have worked out to the point you wanted it to or you thought it was supposed to go to, but you learned a lesson in it.
True story. You
learned a lesson because you know what you learned. You know what you can now handle and what you can't. You learn what's good for you and what's not. This is what this life walk is about. This life is a fucking lesson. It's like school, K through 12. You understand? It's like K through 12. Some of us come here at kindergarten level. Some of us come here at a different level. But guess what, brothers and sisters? I promise you this. At the end, you will know that this walk has been about learning something about yourself. Nobody else. Nobody else. This has been learning about you.
What is your name, Queen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What is your name, Queen? What's your name, sister?
My name is Jamila Elbey Shakur.
Yo, life, peace, and progress to you every day. Let me tell you, that's real talk. And what you speaking is, I hope every young woman that's listening be able to convey that conversation to another sister, because that's real shit right there that you said.
Brothers, I love you so much. Brothers, I love you so much, and I have so much hope for you.
Much love to you
I
in
have
return.
so much hope for you. You know why? It will take my men, and I claim all of you that are listening, and all of you that will listen in the end. I claim all of you. You are my men, the men that will see my vision through.
That's it.
You will do my work. Do you hear me? I am mother. You will see my work through, and I will not leave this existence until you make my shit right.
Absolutely. And I gotta salute you for the work. I'm saluting you for the work that you've already done, Queen. You hear me? Because in your words, in your conversation, I can hear the wisdom dripping off of it and all of your past deeds. And let me tell you, what you're saying, that shit is so real, because that gives me the understanding that the sisters are not all blinded to materialism and all of that, and that there are some queens that's holding us down that are producing black men that understand that they need to pull their fucking pants up. True story.
Brothers, we love you. We love you. Do you understand? In 40-some-odd years, almost 50, let me tell you something. I ain't never seen nothing as beautiful as a black man that's confident with intelligence. Nothing as beautiful as that. It's nothing as beautiful as an intelligent black man. And I don't care what he got on, from his birthday suit to a business suit. Guess what? I done seen it all, brother. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me. From a birthday suit to a business suit, it's nothing as beautiful as an intelligent black man. And we need to read, for God's sake, whatever God you believe in or not, because I love Ammt, the God killer. I love them all. I guess what? Whatever you believe in or not, it's nothing like a well-read man. Nothing like a well-read man. Because you know what? If you want to tell me, and this is what I just had one of my students tell me last week. She said to me, "Oh, I don't believe in the Bible." And I said, "Okay, sister, have you ever read the Bible?" And she said, "No." Well, how can you tell me you don't believe in something you never read? You can't tell me. You can't tell me you don't believe in something if you have never read it. Guess what? I don't care if you believe in the Bible or not, because guess what? I don't care. Okay, that's how I feel about that. But read what you want to read. I don't care if you read an Archie comic book. But guess what? Tell me you read it before you tell me you don't believe it.
I hear that.
And I'm going to just say this in conclusion, because you know what? I can go on all night long with y'all. I'm going to just say this.
We're going to have to book the show with you, because like you said, we do need more female guests on the program. This is an open platform. It's not like, we're keeping them out of the ring.
I think they're intimidated, brother. Let me tell you something. Y'all are so strong and so powerful. And you want to know what? Y'all intimidate every sister that think about opening her mouth. But guess what? I'm an old bird, so I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that's true. We make it very inviting, very comfortable.
You know what? But you know what? Our sisters don't have no backbone because they ain't got no daddies.
Well, I had let Queen Jamila to be the first one that y'all bring on the show to have her conversate and talk to the sisters.
I will always be there for you. You can always come to me for assistance because I'll give you anything you need. But I will say that I have watched the videos over the years, and especially in this last couple of months, because Sonetta is a good friend of mine. I love that boy like that. You know what I'm saying? And I've been watching these videos. I ain't seen no sisters except for Professor Griff's sister. You know what I'm saying? And that was very brief.
Right.
Sister A Genesis. Shout out to Sister A Genesis Samadhi.
Beautiful sister. Beautiful
she
sister.
came on in the beginning of the summer and did her thing. And we're gonna do some more work with her as well. And we got a few other sisters that we're working with. So that's coming.
I look forward because I love you guys so much. And as a mother, I just look forward to my future because you guys are my future. All that I work for, all that my mother and my grandmother worked for, you guys are now the product. I want to see something. I want cash from this. Y'all supposed to cash out for us. It's like casino. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and now I have now want to see what the fuck have we produced. What have we produced? I want to see something.
Real talk.
I want to see something. Stop telling me what you're going to do and do it. Stop telling me what you're going to do. I don't need to know what you're seeing in your visions, what you're seeing in your car. Do something for me. Show me something. Give me something. Where can I go to rest? Do I got some land? Can I eat some potatoes and shit? What can I do?
Drop a bomb on that. That's real right.
You my babies. You my babies, and I love you. You my babies, and I love you. And I never come to you in harshness. I only come to you in love. And you can call me anytime you want to, day or night, because I never sleep, because guess what? I sleep when I'm dead.
Yes, sir.
All right? So get at me when you want to. Email me, call me, talk to me, come see me. Come visit my land, because guess what? I got some potatoes and onions growing in my yard.
That's right. Drop your email
so
for
come get some.
Can you leave your email, sis, for the family?
Say again, please.
Would you be so kind as to leave your email for anybody that, for the brothers that may want to, that may want to touch bases?
You want to know what anything you want, darling, anything you want, I will give you. Because guess what? I'm waiting for y'all. Y'all my fucking legacy. I'm waiting. This is what I've been studying 28 years for. Y'all my babies. I want this.
I'm a believer. I know a sage when I hear one. Real talk.
Listen, babe, anything you want, come get some. Any day you want, guess what? This ain't no sideshow. Any day you want, Sunday through Sunday, anytime you want, come on and see Mama.
Where are you? Where are you?
I am in upstate New York, Hudson Valley. Come see me anytime you want to.
Okay.
What's the email?
I will put my email out there. It is ladybayconsulting@hotmail.com. And my phone number is 919-228-1916. Anytime you want to see me, come see me, babes. I'm here for you. Any book you want, I got a book collection that'll make a library cry. I promise you. I promise you, my library is deep. And this discussion tonight was supposed to be about magic. And guess what? Mama got some shit on magic.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So come see me if you want to now.
Got you, Mama. We love you.
I love you more, babies. Come see me. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I appreciate it, and I will always listen in.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Good night, my babies. Peace and love.
Love you, peace.
All right, peace.
Okay. We got a few minutes left. Our brother Oba, his line dropped, unfortunately. I do see one more call in the call queue. I'm going to open up this line, 576-718. Peace.
Ashe.
Oh, you raised.
Yes. I just, Ashe to the red pill, Ashe to the blue pill, Ashe to Brother Oba. It's crazy. Everything got manifested. My question got answered because I wanted to say one thing on the technology about the brother was saying. Like, I want to see the technology reach to, like, Ninja Scroll level where everybody was talking on that imaginary line through their lips. And number two, I wanted to ask him what the universe was saying as far as Big Mama, what she had to give back to the universe, to us to say, and she answered tonight. I want all the brothers to stand up, and I want y'all to give that sister a 21-gun salute and drop all the bombs. All the brothers should stand up because that's the Big Mama right there. That's the goddess. I don't know what to say. I'm about to cry, man, because that's
know.
You know what? And she's so right. That's what I wanted to say to y'all too. We need more females. The sisters need to talk. And one thing too, and what the brother was saying about when he was hitting the trees doing the martial arts, there is a tree goddess in this Kush religion. Her name is Yakashi. She's a tree goddess. So he is right. He's feeling the energy of the tree goddess. Once again, Big Mama. So everything has been manifested and answered through the guides, because I was going to ask him, like, what is the spirit saying on the other side? What is Big Mama trying to relate to us? And there it is. That's it. And I think every Friday should be Female Friday. That's just me speaking out loud. But we need to really get as sisters a platform, because I'm like she said, I'm a male, and I'm just tired of hearing all these dudes talk, man. When we gonna get a platform to the sisters? Because this almost seems like Christianity now. All these dudes just being the matriarchal, the dude. What about the sisters? The sisters, nah, come on.
I feel you.
Yeah, so
I want to hear 21 as well.
Exactly. You got to provide a platform to where they can come and they can talk as well to the sisters and talk as well to the male. Like Big Mama just said a minute ago, the emotional thing. We got to have men that are able to talk to other females on an emotional level, dealing with their males, to be able to have a better relationship as far as the black man and the black woman. And we got to provide the platform. This upcoming year should be all platform for sisters to come and speak their mind. There's all the lectures this year should be all female. You feel what I'm saying? It should be more female speaking than men this coming year.
It's time for Lucy. Lucy got to step forward 100% and let it be known. I really am interested and want to know how the sisters feel right now.
For real, because she says she got...
Because the emotionalism that I'm seeing, the outpouring of emotionalism based on, the latest rash of events, it's really affecting the sisters. I'm seeing them really go in, and the confidence level for the men is falling real short. And I just want to hear what's on their mind. I want to know how they feel. I want to know how this is affecting them mentally and spiritually. And we often talk a lot of times about the conscious community. Consciousness is the conscious part of our brain is male. The subconscious part is female, okay? That's the womb. You feel me? Not enough people talk about what it takes to impregnate the subconscious with our thoughts. We're only focusing on the male aspect, which is the conscious, which is the 10%. when are we going to address the 90% where the work is really done? So I really feel that we need to bring the female forth so the conscious community can finally meet the subconscious community, and we can unify the two, and two can become one, and we can actually really work on this mental magic that'll get things done overnight. It takes place in the dream state, y'all. It takes place in the dream state, and it is triggered by feelings. Triggered by feelings, okay? What you go to sleep feeling about yourself, feeling about the world, feeling about society, feeling about these events, you're going to make it real in your dream state. So we have to start reprogramming how we go to sleep. It's that simple. This is a hologram, okay? It's perception-based, and we have to change how we are perceiving the things, right? The seeds are being implanted in our minds via the visuals we're seeing throughout the day. You got to change those things at night. Take it into the subconscious, into the womb of mother, and when you wake up, you're going to wake up to your creation. And we are waking up now to our creation, and then we're finding convenient excuses and acting like victims, blaming other people for the things that we're creating. All right? So it's a real wicked game of sorcery that's being implemented on us by way of them, you know, implementing visuals, you know what I'm saying, in the environments that we are getting stuck in, the things that we're seeing by way of mass media. But we can't take control. We have to take control of our minds, and the woman is the key. Okay? Our respect for her is reflected in our disrespect for our own subconscious. We don't even know our subconscious, just like we don't know our women. We need to start knowing both of them. And the inherent power that lies in both of them, that's the key right there. We can change this overnight.
And that's real. And I think
conversation.
And I think what the movement is truly lacking is the power of the vocals of the sister, because I can't think of no other time except in antiquity is when the sisters was really pulling things by the rein and really ruling. And I'm thinking to myself, through this whole conscious movement, we haven't had an era yet to where we had the women at the forefront. Like, it seemed to me when the women are at the forefront, the movement goes further. It jumps like from 1 to 100 real quick. You feel what I'm saying? Because it seems to me we haven't had that era of the female strong power take hold of the movement and take this thing further. Because when I was watching that hair segment that Sarnetta had, and the way the sister felt, as she was like, she sort of felt attacked, but on a metaphysical level, to me, she was ready. It's just like what the sister was saying. These people are awake, but they scared to what powers they have. And the only one that ain't really scared or ready to rock is the sister. You feel what I'm saying? So she
would make a formidable soldier.
For what? She would make
with the right sword, the right information. She's a lioness.
Yeah, she would have been ready. Her hair spoke she was the lioness, just even though she had the weave on her head. But if you looked at it, it was shaped as the